Let me blast off real quick. Let's get started. Old Dems keep passing away in Congress as the caucus refuses younger talent. Yeah, it's like a Democratic pastime, dude. It's a Democrat tradition. It's just like you're gonna hold on to your seat until you freaking die. I mean, Republicans do this too, but I guess they're more evil, marginally more evil than the Dems are, so that evil allows them to continue surviving. Like that evil actually stops them from dying, you know what I mean? Like Democrats are evil too. That's why they go on for a very long time themselves, but like in any case, old Dems keep passing away in Congress as the caucus refuses younger talent. Trump trade blows with South Africa over genocide in air quotes. Israel reveals even more ethnic cleansing in latest op as EU leaders finally start offering critique. Spud date later with Phineas. Get in now on twitch.tv/Hasanabi. Dems keep dying in Congress as well. Okay, it's too long. Hold on. While blocking younger talent. Okay, that works. Did you invite Cutie to Spuds? I did, but of course, I invited Cutie Cinderella to Spud date, and she is doing something else, which is why she can't make it. Isn't that crazy? She's doing something with Extra Emily right now. Okay, but like she's also her loss. Can't blame you then. Yeah, Cutie doesn't like you, bro. I know. Which is why I don't. Which is why I don't even invite her to stuff anymore. Actually, like that's the reason why I don't invite her. Is NMP coming to DreamCon with you again? Yes, he is. He is coming to DreamCon with me. Okay, I'm not gonna do the fucking Nancy Mace like revenge porn case. Please stop linking it to me. I have it on the docket. If I get to it, I get to it. Okay. Yeah. Also, last night, friend of the show Noah Sampson interviewed other friend of the show Rashid Al Haddad, cleverly dubbed as Timothy Chalamet. And I will probably look at that interview, that back and forth conversation that took place as well, because you know it's a wonderful opportunity. Rashid is a great dude overall, and has been unjustly maligned and smeared over and over again for being a person who happens to live in Yemen, who also agrees with the actions of the Ansar Allah movement as it pertains to offering some sort of economic penalty or any penalty whatsoever to the criminal enterprise that is Israel for the crime of doing the worst crime of all time, a genocide. And of course, I wanted to point to this really quickly because this is like, we are so back on the post 9/11 Obama era Islamophobia. We are so in the post 9/11 Obama era Islamophobia, where basically the pirate Houthi is on Noah's stream. Noah did a heart sign when asked if he supports what the Houthis are doing. This is insane. Holy shit, we're living in bizarre world. For real. How is this shit career ending? Just reported the stream for promoting terrorism. I'm disgusted. Dude just looks like evil. What the fuck? There's a knife around his neck. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, that's a ceremonial blade for Yemeni people, for the record. For those of you who don't know. Lemau, what the fuck? Even has his murder weapon on him. Fuck this timeline, bro. Yeah, the Jambia, which I asked him about when we had a conversation as well. It's actually so fucking insane. I can't believe this is so widely accepted and considered okay. Had genuinely thought we'd left this war on terror horseshit in the rearview mirror, or at least made it broadly uncool. I have a feeling this is Europe's fault. Yeah, this is it. Jambia. Literally everyone in Yemen has a fucking Jambia. Like, it's not even a stabbing dagger. It's a cultural one. But, of course, I feel like their political expression in most online, like, politics adjacent communities now is just like pure unrestricted Islamophobia. On the one hand, they just like, on the one hand, they claim, on the one hand, they sit there and they fucking claim like, oh, we're pro-Palestine. On the other hand, they're like, every person that is pro-Palestine that isn't my white neighbor in Connecticut is a fucking terrorist. The only way to be pro-Palestine is if you are exactly like me, living in America, and every now and then saying, you know, it's really fucked up what's happening over there, huh? But why don't we just care about the feelings of Israelis more? That's the only way to be pro-Palestine, according to these fucking freaks. All right? Yeah. So scary. Such a scary state of affairs. It's like, how far removed can you be from the situation? Like, even, look, the reality is he reposted a Nazi account to get an own in. The only problem, that's not what Rashid said. Oh yeah, this is like Rashid is saying the Houthis are Yemenis, not that he's Houthi. What does he think this proves exactly? He's not saying he's Houthi. This man is beyond evil. This is dangerous. It could get him killed. Yeah, I don't think he cares. I think if the American government was like doing targeted executions in Yemen still, as they were for months on end, and this Yemeni civilian died in the process, and Ethan Klein contributed to that lie, he would not care. I think he was like, as long as I won an online argument in my mind, that would be valid. I'm seeing people get mad at you for your usage of girly pop as a substitute for anti-women terms. No, it's my expectation that like a girly pop community is supposed to not be fucking this Islamophobic. Anyway, this is a horrifyingly racist attitude to have in general, and really fucked up. And that's it. And he's just gonna keep fucking crying about it. But I do like that Noah found a way to contact Russia and had him on the stream. I think it's nice to offer him a platform again and to have him speak his truth. You know, that's a good thing. It is. It's a brave thing to do. It's a good thing to do. It shouldn't be. It should be treated as like talking to any other fucking normal person. But, of course, Canary Mission's very own Ethan Klein, basically operating like a Canary Mission schizo or a Barry Weiss style psychopath, is actively invested in deplatforming anyone and everyone, but in the most cowardly way possible, where he can't fucking he can't just be like, Israel is the most defensible country on the planet. How dare you go after Israel like that? He has to do it in this like very weird way. He has to do it in this very weird, cowardly, cynical way where he's like, oh, but I don't think it's good what Israel is doing. But also, if you also don't think Israel is doing the right things, and you say that it is perfectly reasonable for other countries in the region to try and stop Israel from doing this thing, then you're just as evil as Israel. Actually, you're more evil than Israel. I'm not going to talk about what Israel is doing at all. And I'm simply going to complain about those who do talk about Israel. It's like, yeah, you're a fucking morally bankrupt 40-year-old man who literally wants to fucking make personal drama around the genocide, the ethnic cleansing of 2 million Palestinians. That is the ultimate goal. That's the final solution. They're not hiding it. They're openly saying that they want to do it. This is Israel's plan. Netanyahu keeps coming out and saying that. Israel today, earlier today, Israel fired shots at diplomats traveling to the West Bank. A consortium of diplomats from, I believe, like 30 different states were traveling to the West Bank, and the Israeli occupying force shot at them, directly at them. Luckily, they suck and couldn't strike any of them, from 20 different countries. Sorry, not 30. Yeah. Think about how psychotic that is. And what is Ethan doing? Terror jacketing a Yemeni teenager with the hopes that he can deplatform a person that's fundraising for UNRWA. It's the most cowardly way to approach the subject, where he can't say, like, I think UNRWA is a terror group, because that's what he wants to say. So he has to just be like, maybe I can find a way to stop this fundraiser in some other in some other capacity. And his fucking hysterical, sociopathic, Islamophobic, pig-like audience is playing a formative role in brigading every and any avenue they can to participate in this process, while they also sit atop their ivory towers and assume foolishly that they're actually still allies of the Palestinian plight. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Absolutely repulsive. They are horrible monsters for doing this. And one day they will look back at their actions that they engaged in at this very moment in deep shame, and they will lie. They will lie about what they did. They will lie about their position. Yeah, also one of the members of NECAP is charged with terror offense. Liam Ohana was charged with displaying a flag in support of Hezbollah, a prescribed organization. A Metropolitan Police said the 27-year-old from Belfast is due to appear at Westminster Magistrates Court on the 18th of June, the force added. This is literally because they said, fuck Israel, by the way. Like, this is not because of the fucking flag. First of all, waving the flag and getting fucking arrested or getting criminally prosecuted for waving the Hezbollah flag is fucking insane, especially considering that the Hezbollah flag is a flag of an active political party that is a part of the Lebanese parliament, right? But of course, that's just how the UK goes, okay? You can't do that. Fuck you. I know it's illegal. I know it's completely insane. We'll start off our conversation with the NECAP boys. Let's take a look.
Bring you now because I can tell you that UK police have charged Liam Ohana, who is a member of the band NECAP, with a terrorism offence for displaying a flag in support of Hezbollah. That is the allegation. That is the allegation that the police have charged Liam Ohana with, a member of the rap band NECAP. A bit of breaking news to bring you now because I can tell you that UK police have charged Liam Ohana, who is a member of...
England doesn't have a First Amendment, so this happens all the time. I know. Did they not do it in the US? Sorry if I'm dumb. No, they did this at... I don't even know exactly where they did this. By the way, if the rest of the band didn't fucking apologize, they probably would also be going to jail too. This is just the one person that had the flag that's going to... that's maybe going to go to jail. Hopefully it's just a fucking fine. But yes, this is England behavior, England activities. You already know what it is. It's disgusting. Like, think about it this way. The EDL doesn't get this level of fucking aggro attention. And they've been able to basically become a part of the Reform Party. And they're out and about fascists. Keir Starmer is unironically channeling fascist sentiment. Okay, hold on. Why is this fucked up? Keir Starmer is unironically channeling fascist sentiment when talking about immigrants. Meanwhile, you have this situation where a fucking popular Irish music group is criminally prosecuted for waving the fucking Hezbollah flag. I personally don't give a shit about people who wave the Hezbollah flag. Like, yeah, oh no, it's branded as a fucking terrorist organization. This is completely not allowed. Suck my dick, okay? It would be a lot different if they were actually waving a fucking dangerous flag, like a Nazi flag or the EDL flag. Except, you know, when you do that kind of stuff, you get to basically be a part of the British government. You can do blood libel against Muslims all day, every day, but fucking God forbid. Yeah, you can wave the Israeli flag, even though Israel's doing a genocide. The EDL haven't become a part of the Reform UK. The EDL haven't been active since the late 2010s. The EDL has not been active since the late 2010s because it's de facto what the fucking Reform Party's positions are. And it's actually not only seeped into the Reform Party's positions, it quite literally is a part of, like, it's a part of the Labour Party's positions at this point. Like, we've moved past the Tories. Whenever someone says, like, oh, EDL is inactive, yeah, I know. So is, what is it called? Like Pagida or whatever. There's no need for your outsider terrorist white nationalist group to fucking exist if the same exact positions are being championed by an active party, and also the same exact positions are now even being repeated by the opposition, the Labor Party that is supposed to be in charge right now. Yeah, they went from EDL to UKIP, then vote leave, and now reform. Anyone who doesn't understand that that's precisely what's going on here is being silly. Starmer literally did a speech that used the Islands of Strangers line that Enoch Powell did in his fascist Rivers of Blood speech. He's trying to out racist reform as if this won't normalize them further and lead to their victory in 2029. That's precisely what's going on. And it's something that I fucking mentioned. It's something that I mentioned was going to inevitably happen. And it's happening faster than I thought it was going to. Oh, God. England, UK, what the fuck are you guys doing? On the one hand, they're like, well, you know, Israel's mass starvation campaign seems unconscionable. Maybe we should stop that. On the other hand, they don't even, like, Israel is a far worse terrorist group by any fucking metric of terrorism than Hezbollah is, okay? It's not even a goddamn question. It's not even close, okay? It's not even close. Same with Hamas. And yet, you can obviously wave the IDF dog tag everywhere you go. You can wave the Israeli flag everywhere you go. There is not even a fucking ounce of scrutiny towards that sort of thing. I hate this goddamn double standard. It's just one that only can exist if you don't consider Muslims to be human, if you don't consider Arabs to be human, because Israel and all of the people that Israel is killing are technically collateral damage because, you know, they were in the way. Israel terrorized foreign diplomats just today, earlier today. Oh my God, stop touching your hair. No, I can't stop touching it. It's fucked up. And I don't know. I don't care. Whatever. Shut up. It's fine now. I have a hard time believing so much opinion can get us all this war footage, but no other country besides the one person learning it has interpretations present that I'm waiting for a daily exhibit with Donald Trump and there's no one stopping the war with mind control. What are you saying? Okay. The BDS movement in Berlin has been classified as an enemy of the Constitution. This could increase repression. Nice. As Israel gets more violent, its Western allies get more repressive with their speech laws. But no, Hezbollah oppresses women and Hamas are homophobic. Double standards at its finest. Yeah, that's the other side of this. It's like, yeah, those guys are. Okay. So what? Israel is killing all of the fucking women and all of the gay people. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. I hate this shit. I hate it so much. It's so frustrating. Oh, yeah. Genuinely so worried about reform getting elected next gen election. Labor is straight up using the Democrats' failed strategy. I know. But look, the inconsistencies are glaring and they're obvious. The inconsistencies of saying, like, maybe what Israel is doing is kind of bad too, on the one hand, okay, while also on the other hand being like, well, you know, this is illegal. Like, you will go to fucking jail if you wave the banner of the enemy. But of course, they do not have free speech. And for the record, this should be a warning sign for all of you here in the United States of America, because they want to have this lack of free speech here as well. Snappy Apples 5, thank you for the holy moly 25. Get the subs. Where is the Macy's? Did you send a playlist? Oh, you do? Here, playlist for later. Yeah, Trump is ambushing the South African president with video compilation. We'll obviously talk about that in a second. But yeah, these guys, we have devolved so spectacularly that on the one hand, I criticize slop tubers all the time. But on the other hand, the goddamn president is behaving like a fucking slop tuber. So what are you supposed to do? You know what I mean? This is insane. He's got a clip compy. He had a clip compy ready to go to be like, what do you have to say about this? Seems like it's a real white genocide. Like, how are you going to clip chimp as the president, dude? What are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? And no one seems to care. I watched Asman before he came on. All I'm going to say is I have a new renewed what? What the fuck? What are you saying? Oh, black fatigue. Oh yeah. Asmongold is entertaining the new meta of black fatigue, which is like, I'm sorry, the lamest fucking way to be a white supremacist. Just say it. Just say the N-word, dude. Like that shit is so frustrating where it's like you're such a fucking pussy that on the one hand you're like you just can't fucking openly be racist. You have to just be like, oh, I just have black fatigue. What is this soy white supremacy? If you're gonna be a white supremacist, just be a fucking white supremacist. Like, what are we doing? Oh, I'm it's emotional labor that I have to be around black people. Yeah, for those of you who don't know what the fuck black fatigue is, it's good that you don't know what it is, but it's like a new TikTok thing. Okay? It's a new TikTok meta of just being racist, saying that you're fatigued by the ways in which black people fucking behave. That's what this is. Gonna get clipped so hard, man. Suck my dick. Shut the fuck up about clipping, please. Oh my God. Yes, I am talking about white supremacy, okay? Yes, in the process of me talking about white supremacy, white supremacist bad faith actors will clip me out of context to make it seem like I'm actually in favor of white supremacy while I'm in the process of complaining about it. Stop crying. Fuck. Anyway, that's what black fatigue is. For those of you who don't know, it's basically people... It's basically racist people saying like they are too tired of the ways in which black people behave. They're too tired to give a shit, as though you ever gave a shit. Like the idea that like being an ally to black people is tiring. It is basically a role reversal of the dumb fuck bullshit that people present in academic contexts at the height of like identity politics when referring to emotional labor. Now, a lot of people are going to get mad at me and say, wow, Hassan, you're criticizing emotional labor. I'm just criticizing the silly application of fucking emotional labor that liberal academics constantly fucking engaged with. And now the racist soy right is basically doing the same, turning around and saying, oh, I have emotional labor from dealing with black people. And it's none of these people have ever fucking like actually, none of these people have ever actually defended black people to begin with. That's it. That's all this is. And it's such a fucking lame way to just be racist. Just be racist, man. Stop trying to use therapy speak and academic language to fucking be racist. Just say it. God damn, I'm so sick and fucking tired of it, dude. Oh my God. He did say there's things he can't say on Twitch, but he wants to say, but he would get banned if he did. Yeah, that's probably what it is. What is this? Hot take. Rap is the worst genre of music. I don't understand why people torture themselves with it. This is Ben Shapiro, okay? You are not bold. You are not subversive. You're just saying the things that Ben Shapiro was saying and the things that your dad was saying in like 1997. That's all you're doing. God damn, dude. It's so fucking annoying. It's like, it's the worst genre of music. It's not even real music. Shut the fuck up. Who cares? Okay? Who fucking cares? Shut up. Like, before people go, Hassan, you're so triggered. Like, I don't even listen to any music, okay? I don't listen to any music. I don't listen to any fucking music. I don't care. I don't care that like this person is like, I don't like rap music. It's like, no, you are just doing this incredibly cowardly way of just being like black culture, which is the most consumed culture, perhaps the most significant aspect of American culture, okay, is shitty and is lame and it sucks. Why? Because black people made it. It's just fucking rage bait. And not only is it rage bait, but it's like the lowest form of rage bait because it's the most cowardly form of rage bait. They should be like, it's not real music. Yeah, okay, dude. Ay, ay, ay. Did I say the same shit about country pop? I just want to thank you for inspiring me to get politically involved in my community. I'm part of the DSA and now I'm running for city council. Hell yeah. I know Kneecap got brought up for terrorism charges. I know. I'm going to talk about it. Where was I? Dude, everything sucks. Everything fucking sucks. Let's start with the South African president coming to the White House. And it's like, it's one of those situations where you can't do anything about it. You know what I mean? What are you supposed to do? You have to go there. You have to fucking talk to the guy, right? And you know he's going to be a dickhead in the process.
Turn the lights down and just put this on. It's right behind you.
There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy?
So in the midst of this normal conversation, from what I understand, Donald Trump just comes in hot. Okay? Don't want to be that chatter, but are you covering the Israel-Iran situation? What do you think? I covered it yesterday, and of course I'm going to cover it today as well. Just calm down, okay? We'll get to all of it.
We are going to occupy land. Yeah. South Africa occupy land. That's who we are. So whatever you want to do, how can we drop my membership from this useless parliament? Honorable. Yes, honorable member. Must never be scared to kill a revolution. And at some point, there must be killing, because the killing is part of...
Bro, okay, this is a real serious question that I have to ask right now. Do we think that Donald Trump has the capacity to tell people apart? Do we think that Donald Trump thinks Julius Malema is the president? Do you think Donald Trump unironically looked at this clip compilation and thought, "Oh, that's you"? I don't know. It's a possibility, because the guy that he's talking to is Ramaphosa, a totally separate guy. But I think Donald Trump might legitimately think that this person on the screen, a whole separate person, is actually the same guy that he's talking to right now. I'm a Posa, sorry, not Fosa.
The mayor of D-Day in PE is a white man. So these people, when you want to hit them hard, go after a white man. They feel a terrible pain because you have touched a white man. Not because Mashaba and Soli will not be touched.
Why is he showing these videos? Because he's a embarrassing little gremlin, dude. That's why. Because he's basically Ethan Klein. Like, he's literally doing an Ethan Klein move here on the global stage as the leader of the most powerful nation on the planet. This is where we're at. Our president is a Facebook grandpa. Our president will look at memes and go, "Well, what do you have to say about this?" This is what he's showing the South African president, okay, who is from a totally separate party, for the record, a clip compilation of Malema. Malema is the leader of the EFF, a separate party in South Africa, okay? This is a totally separate human being. A group of older men meet in Washington to gossip about me. No significant amount of intelligence evidence has been produced about white genocide. We will not agree to compromise on our political principles on land expropriation without compensation for political expediency. I'm from the UK. Do Americans think this shit is as cringe as everybody else? I don't know. I assume no. They probably think this is brilliant. A lot of Americans also don't have the capacity to understand that this is a totally separate political party. They also don't understand that it is a constitutional right to do expropriation of land, and it never actually took place. It was one of the biggest criticisms of the ANC government in the aftermath of the dissolution of the apartheid in South Africa, and that the reason why the Boer in South Africa, the Afrikaners that are claiming that white genocide is happening, is because the ANC is moving in the direction of enforcing at least some of this constitutional right. Now, the constitutional right is land expropriation with market rate compensation. They're not just like going up to these dudes and being like, "It's our land now, fuck off." They're supposed to. This is, again, a constitutionally protected right. Land expropriation and reallocation of land, redistribution of land is literally in the fucking South African Constitution. Okay, it's not just eminent domain. It's not just eminent domain. It's like this is the reparation structure that is supposed to exist because, lo and behold, this might shock you guys. 10% of the South African nation is white. They, however, own 90% of the fucking land because that's what it was. It was a fucking settler colony for the longest goddamn time. So, of course, there is supposed to be, 7%. Of course, there is supposed to be some reparations in this process. It was supposed to happen initially, immediately after the dissolution of the apartheid, and it never took place. And the enforcement at this point, I don't know what Ramaphosa thought to do in the situation. Like, have you thought to butter Trump up and hope he likes you enough? They brought him a golf book as a gift and also brought famous South African golfers law. Given that I think Ramaphosa did what he could, he didn't try to debate Trump, thank God. Yeah. These guys are one of the only, I think Africa technically is the only state that did not go through the process of like complete decolonialization where you can still be a, white person, a person of British background or a person of like Dutch background, an Afrikaner, and still live in the country that you previously were a colonial occupier of. And it's interesting because it's like, yeah, South Africa, yes. What did I say? The state of South Africa is the only state in Africa. No, the only state in Africa, the continent, if I'm not mistaken. I'm saying South Africa is the only state in the African continent where the colonial occupiers were not completely fucking purged from the ranks. I didn't say the nation of Africa. I'm saying it's the only state in Africa, the continent. Fuck! Brother, you said the state of Africa? No, I'm going to end the broadcast, dude. I think. No, it's not true. Namibia and Kenya, for example, Botswana too. Okay, I might be wrong on it regardless. But no, it's because chatters think that this is a haha funny moment to be like, oh, classic trope. He said country of Africa. It's like the classic uneducated person that says like, that treats Africa like a fucking country, okay? The entire continent like a fucking country. And they think that they got me on that, knowing full well that that's not my fucking position. But they just want to fucking meme around, all right? That's what it is. That's what's going on. And that's what they're trying to do. I just have no time for it, okay? Ramaphosa said that. It wasn't true. It was a clip from a few days ago. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Anyway. The reason why I'm mentioning all of this is because I need people to understand. I need people to understand the background here before you fucking dive into a clip compilation of a person that Trump has identified as like doing white genocide. But the real reasons as to why they're claiming that there is a white genocide happening when there is no fucking white genocide happening is because of the slow legal process that the ANC is pushing for at this point, for at least like the lightest of land expropriation that was, again, a constitutionally protected right for the black South African citizens. That's it. And the ANC, especially at this stage, is like is not even a competent display of leadership that they're engaging in. One might even say even after the apartheid's dissolution, there was still a lot of problems with their lack of interest in land expropriation. So they're in this unique predicament where they're trying to they're just trying to manage the anger that people understandably have due to the horrible economic standards for black South Africans that has not changed all too significantly, in spite of having more civil liberties as opposed to in the apartheid structure where they had no civil liberties. Their economic circumstances have not actually changed at all. South Africa is an incredibly poor country, an incredibly a country where there's a tremendous amount of inequality still for black people. So That's the situation ahead of us. That's the situation in front of us. This is precisely the reason why, people are feeling some type of way about it. The other reason why they're claiming white genocide, there's a couple different reasons why they're claiming white genocide. Number one, obviously, this is a major point for white nationalists. So Donald Trump is trying to fucking offer them a little bone here to say, like, no, I'm with you. Okay, give them a nod. Give them a nod that he is still with the white nationalists, that their like pet issues are something that matters to him. The other reason why he's doing this is because it is a political weapon he can wield against South Africa, which, of course, set up a court case in the International Criminal Justice Court against Israel doing a genocide. The ICJ has a genocide court case in front of them. ICJ is state versus state, okay? And the state that brought up the genocide charge against the state of Israel is South Africa. So, of course, this is a little bit of a know you situation from Donald Trump to be like, oh, good on you. Oh, look at you claiming that there is a genocide going on in Israel, which is the most moral nation on the planet, the best nation on the planet. How dare you do a fucking genocide case against Israel while they're doing a genocide? That's not very cash money of you, my guy. You're doing a genocide, actually. Guess what? You're doing a white genocide. Someone asked him about the ICJ. Trump clearly had no fucking clue. It doesn't matter. It's not Trump that's setting this stuff up. It's Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller is the one who's setting this stuff up. Trump doesn't know his ass from his elbow. He is rapidly Brandonizing, okay? He is rapidly and alarmingly Brandonian day after day. It's the bald Himmler on his ass cheeks that's basically designing all of this shit.
What are you expecting on the ICJ case? Are you expecting South Africa to drop that? Is that what you're trying to...
On which case?
The ICJ
The International
case is
Criminal Justice.
I don't expect anything, to be honest. I really don't. I don't know. It's they've got tastes a lot of anger there, tremendous anger. I don't expect anything. We'll see what happens. We'll have a ruling, and who knows what the ruling is going to mean.
One good thing from this meeting is that the ICJ case seems to be off the table for negotiations, at least I hope. Regardless if Ramaphosa withdrew from the ICJ, it would be political suicide in South Africa. People here are overwhelmingly pro-Palestine. Yeah, of course. They have fucking like pro-Hamas and pro-Hezbollah banners in South Africa. Like, at least what I've seen. I don't know. What is the ICJ? I don't know. Who cares? You're not showing up automatically on the Twitch app. I had to search to find you. I don't care. Fuck it, dude. Who cares? Who gives a shit? All right, I'm being blacklisted again, probably. It's probably not the case. There's probably something wrong with your algorithm. No, the ICC case is a separate case. The International Criminal Court is a separate court than the International Court of Justice. The International Court of Justice is state versus state. The International Criminal Court is a body that has prosecutors that can prosecute individuals for war crimes. The ICJ prosecutes states for war crimes and the crime of genocide. The International Criminal Court, on the other hand, prosecutes individuals for war crimes.
On that subject, what are you expecting?
There will be times, no one. But we are starting with this whiteness.
You understand somebody watching that, especially as it gets shared on Twitter later.
Who will expropriate land without compensation, whether they like it or not. If they object, they can seek refugee in America.
This is very bad. These are the...
Being a guest in the Oval Office has become a chance for Trump to try to humiliate you in front of the world. I know. The problem is it's humiliating for Donald Trump. Of course, this is not something that, like, it's just like the Zelensky shit, right? Like, what Donald Trump did to Zelensky was supposed to be humiliating for Zelensky, but it actually was humiliating for America, because every other country and its citizens that look at that back and forth, that look at that conversation, They go, this is the most insane thing I've ever watched. What the fuck is going on? The problem, on the other hand, is that for average Americans, they actually do think that this is a display of strength and dominance because they're fucking stupid. We are a nation of stupids, getting increasingly dumber by the day, increasingly more fucking racist by the day. So if everyone is stupid, you might as well be stupid too. It doesn't fucking matter. And that's where we're at. Every homeschooled nation, law 6%, 76% literacy rate in this goddamn country. Richest person on the fucking planet. 76% literacy rate. Of course, this is the type of shit that Donald Trump is doing. And it's actually making waves amongst the dumbest Americans. Every American has the brain capacity of an iPad kid. It's so crazy. 54% of adult Americans can't read above a 6th grade level. You don't need to be mean. What are you saying? I don't need to be mean. What am I supposed to do? Say that it's like perfectly normal for the goddamn president of the wealthiest nation on the planet to run a fucking clip compy? Like he's a fucking slop tuber? What are you, Ethan Klein? What is this? He did the exact same shit that fucking Ethan Klein tried to pull on me, where he's like, well, what do you think about this other guy? This other guy said a lot of mean things. Nasty things. What do you have to say? He's like, well, he's not a part of my party. What do you want? This is no different than being like, defend the fucking Sabra hummus tier list. Like, what the fuck? This is two leaders of two separate states sitting side by side in the fucking White House. This is a moment of national shame, okay? A moment, if we were at least a little bit more intelligent, we would look to this collectively and go, this is perhaps the most insane thing that has happened so far, only we will most likely experience an even more insane thing tomorrow, given how things have happened so far. No shame. No shame for Americans whatsoever. We revel in our stupidity. We revel in our stupidity. We think it's a badge of honor. Nowadays, like the last generation of Republicans used vice signaling. They substituted vice as a virtue. They would be like, the meaner I get, the worse I get, the more I dunk on marginalized populations, the cooler it is. I'm going to be a fucking asshole for the sake of being a fucking asshole, because people are going to read that as a positive, was the last generation's conservative movement. Now it's also a badge of honor to be dumb and racist, okay? Not only am I fucking signaling vices, I'm also dumb. I'm signaling how stupid I am. And yeah, if people are just as stupid as the president is, or even stupider than the president is, they respond positively to this. They go, yeah, that's my president. He owned this guy. It's fantastic.
These are burial sites right here. Burial sites, over 1,000 of white farmers, and those cars are lined up to...
You don't know why you're talking? Have some respect. The president of South Africa is actively committing a genocide. Why don't you stand up like that, what you did with Israel? Oh, wow. What an incredible genocide it's been for the white South Africans, that every fucking white South African, Afrikaners, and everyone else basically laughs at these fucking dumb fat piggies that we actually ship to the United States of America, where they're like, everyone in South Africa, white people, black people, are like, what the fuck do you mean a genocide? Oh, I got a boo-boo in my finger. There's a genocide happening. You genocided my fucking finger. What a spectacular display of genocide that's taking place, where the overwhelming majority of all victims of even the farm murders are still the black workers at the farms, the farmhands. It's a white genocide when black people are dying at alarmingly high rates. Incredible white genocide taking place here. Later on in the conference, they asked their white agricultural minister to speak, and he calls the genocide allegations completely insane. Yeah. It's so utterly ridiculous, dude. It is so fucking ridiculous. So funny. You sound like an Israeli now. Wow. It's interesting how, from the perspective of that chatter, he's listening to you now as we listen to the Israelis yap on TV. Yeah, except the difference is it's not real. The Israeli genocide of the Palestinians is real. The white genocide of Afrikaners is not real. So what do you want me to do? Fucking lie? Not a single fucking human rights organization recognizes even a fraction. There is a lot of violence in South Africa. That is certainly true. Overwhelming majority of the victims of said violence at even disproportionate rates, regardless of the fact that only 7% of the South African population is white, is still black people, of course. This is like when you ask white people what genocide looks like, what white genocide looks like, they literally say, oh, we own 90% of the fucking agricultural output in South Africa, despite making up 7% of the population. Wow, dude. Incredible. Wow. If only one day I could get genocided like that. You know what I mean? Or if you ask dumb fucks in like the UK or in America, white genocide is when white people voluntarily have sex with non-white people. That's what white genocide is. The Great Replacement is literally white people getting out-meated and out-competed in the marketplace of dating by dudes with salsa hips, okay? That's what white genocide is for the average American white person, the white nationalist who's like, yeah, I can't compete with a fucking Mexican dude who's way cooler than me. This must mean genocide is taking place. Because that's what it is. They want to make miscegenation illegal, okay? They want to make race mixing illegal. This is the only way you can fucking, ensure the purity of the white race. Nobody even asked the question, like, why the fuck should there be a pure white race? Like, what are you talking about? Oh, this is why I joke about this all the time. I used to all the time. I was like, yeah, I'm doing a white genocide, bitch. What's up? I'm out here fucking your moms. That's white genocide. You know what I mean? They're showing you on NBC right now.
The DHS posted on X that Sav's experience was not politically motivated and sent us a statement saying, in part, lawful travelers have nothing to fear from these measures.
Yeah. It's fucking bullshit.
Allegations that political beliefs trigger inspections or removals are baseless and irresponsible. But it's not just regular travelers. Some high-profile names have also shared their experiences.
I was invited to the back room to be questioned on my opinions on a multitude of different things, from Donald Trump to Israel, Palestine.
Hassan Piker is one of the biggest left-leaning commentators online and believes he was intentionally held up for several hours at Customs and Border Patrol in Chicago last week.
I don't know. The Department of Homeland Security denies that there was any sort of political targeting that took place here. But given the line of questioning and how directional it was, it did not feel that way at all.
I don't think it's random at all. Nobody knows for a fact. Customs and Border Patrol is not going to say, this is why I flagged you.
The DHS told NBC News that according to their data, although overall searches have increased, advanced searches at immigration sites have gone down slightly.
But if you are the small percentage that it does happen, think about in advance what you want to do. Don't be logged into any cloud services. Another thing you can do is you can carry a burner phone. The more you say no, the more questions you're going to have, and the longer your stay at the airport's going to be.
Now, all of these rights depend on your citizenship status. If you're a visa holder or here on a green card, for example, you likely have even fewer protections. The best thing Brad, the lawyer, says to do is to stay calm and answer truthfully.
I mean, they are talking all about this on social media. Really interesting reporting there. Maya Eaglin, thank you. We appreciate it. Entertainment world is paying tribute to TV icon George Wendt. He died Tuesday at 67.
My brother-in-law is a farmer in the South. They have 30 or so South Africans come to America during harvest season because they apparently can't get jobs in South Africa. I'm not defending Trump. His white genocide agenda is absurd. There's a lot of violence in South Africa, and the president even says, ask Trump for help in the video. The farmers I know even say there's no genocide. Yeah, the number of people that say that there is an actual white genocide happening in South Africa is so tiny. That's why it's extra ridiculous. That's why it's extra ridiculous that, like, it's like you got maximum 1,000 people together and they were like, we're being genocided. And then now the fucking leader of the most powerful nation on the planet is elevating this to a status, offering it dignity. It's insane. Like, only 58 people came, dude. And every single one of those motherfuckers are like, they own mines. They own fucking massive amounts of farmland. And I suspect they will still turn around and go back to South Africa eventually, too. Yes, I know Kneecap Mohara has been charged with a terror offense. I know that. I know. Hold on. I'll fucking... Yes, I know. I'm going to talk about it. Hold on. Typical Assange shit, downplaying white genocide. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. Don't even joke about this. There's like unironically people that think this is it. When the president says something, it holds a lot of value, unfortunately. Okay. The bully pulpit is powerful. I know you're joking. I know you're joking right now, but it doesn't matter. Like, there are literally people who believe this now. That's why the dumb fuck juicer in the chat was like, oh, why don't you stand with the white South Africans that are being genocided like you do with the Palestinians? Like, it's over. It's like, officially now, you have the dumbest people. You have the dumbest people in the United States of America championing this cause that is not real.
Love on a Sunday morning. Each one of those white things you see is a cross. And there's approximately 1,000 of them. They're all white farmers, the family of white farmers. And those cars aren't driving, they're stopped there to pay respects to their family member who was killed. And it's a terrible sight. I've never seen anything like it. Both sides of the road, you have crosses. Those people were all killed.
Have they told you where that is, Mr. President? No, I'd like to know where that is, because this I've never seen. Okay.
I mean, it's in South Africa. That's where
we need to find out. I don't know.
It's in those people.
Okay.
Mr. President, the Pentagon announced that it would be accepting a Qatari jet to be used as Air Force One.
What are you talking about?
Elon is literally mentioned in the wiki page for that monument. The Witkrus Monument. Place Moord Monument is a monument complex alongside the N1 route between Mokopane and Polokwane, South Africa, conspicuously located on the slope of Easterberg on private property of the Harms family. Since June 16, 2004, symbolic white painted metal crosses have been planted on the area. Well, you wanted me to fucking show you what real, anti-white South African genocide looked like. Now I'm showing it to you, okay? It's my accent, my worst accent. I know. Shut the fuck up. I know. Elon Musk posted a clip that falsely claimed that the crosses were the graves of white farmers in South Africa. In 2004, farmers erected white crosses along N1 to raise awareness of the farm murders. Senral and the road authority, however, objected to this, so that the crosses had to be moved further up the ridge. 300 members of the community met. First crosses were planted on the farm, and then owner, Mr. Stefan van der Walt, Dr. Niels Rulofse, criminologist at the University of Limpopo, and his wife, Rena, were the initial organizers. There were initially 1,200 identical crosses, each weighing 7 kilograms. In 2010, there was a surge in interest of the monument, upon which the local Vow Festival company made arrangements with the new landowner. The number of crosses grew to 2,506. Place Moorde means piss murder, by the way. Wait, really? One of them commemorates the well-known white supremacist and neo-Nazi Eugene Terre Blanche, who was murdered on his Vendersdorp farm by 2 of his employees after an altercation of over unpaid wages. No, Place means farm. Terre Blanche. Eugene is an all-time hog. Yeah. Dude, a lot of people have never encountered South African hogs, by the way. So they don't even know how fucking insane. Like, dude. The Afrikaner hogs literally live in a different universe. They live in like a different century, okay? In their minds, they're not even just LARPing. They're like still trying to maintain. They're still trying to maintain the colonial extraction, like the direct old school colonial experience of Africa. It's not even in this universe at this point. Fuck Terre Blanche. He literally started the Afrikaner Nazi party. They're Israeli coded? Yes, of course they're Israeli coded. They also had an apartheid from the same time frame that Israel started its apartheid. South Africa also had an apartheid. It's just that it dissolved by the 90s. Whereas Israel continued and dramatically escalated in that same time frame when they noticed what was going on in South Africa and the failures of South Africa. They learned about the failures of South Africa and learned the wrong lessons, of course, which wasn't to instantly change what they were doing and offer citizenship and liberty to the Palestinians that they were oppressing. Instead, they went in the opposite direction. This is why I use the South African apartheid as an analog when describing the conditions in Israel, because it's one that, like, albeit did not actually offer the proper economic restoration that was necessary in the aftermath of the dissolution, but it's important to recognize that, like, at least the legal structure was eradicated, and you are watching dumb fucking Americans who are terrified of reparations point to South Africa as a country where they are doing what they fantasized newly freed black people would do in the aftermath of the abolition of slavery. And on numerous other instances throughout American history where there have been civil rights struggles, like, this is precisely what the fuck Americans think. They think, like, affirmative action is basically white genocide. The most racist Americans. So it's perhaps one of the most dangerous, idiotic conspiracies to entertain. And Donald Trump, of course, is entertaining it.
You to get out of here. What does this have to do with the Qatari jet? They're giving the United States Air Force a jet, okay? And it's a great thing. We're talking about a lot of other things. It's NBC trying to get off the subject of what you just saw. You are a real, you're a terrible reporter. Number one, you don't have what it takes to be a reporter. You're not smart enough. But for you to go into a subject about a jet that was given to the United States Air Force, which is a very nice thing, they also gave $5.1 trillion worth of investment in addition to the jet. Go back, you ought to go back to your studio at NBC, because Brian Roberts and the people that run that place, they ought to be investigated. They are so terrible the way you run that network, and you're a disgrace. No more questions from you. Go ahead. Go ahead, talk about that. His name is Peter something. He's a terrible reporter. Quiet. Let's go. Thank you very much.
What would you like President Ramaphosa to do about the situation that we've just seen on the screen?
I don't know.
I don't know. It doesn't seem real because it's not real. I don't know what he should do.
These are articles over the last few days. Death of people. Death.
This was in his notes. Like, I saw a report coming out of the office that it was like he literally had a note sheet that just said death, death, death.
Horrible death. Death. I don't know. To pick anyone, white South Africans are fleeing because of the violence and racist laws. And this is all, I mean, I'll give these to you. No, so when you say, what would I like to do? I don't know what to do. Look at this. White South African couples say that they were attacked violently.
President Trump, when will you go and see for yourself if it is?
Well, I could do that. Look, here's burial sites all over the place. These are all white farmers that are being buried. And he asks about a jet that was given. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. You know, you are so bad. You're such a bad reporter. This is one after another. This family was wiped out. I'm just looking.
Can we get a reaction to those videos?
Well, I think the videos are so. No. When you look at the videos, I mean, how does it get worse? And these are people that are officials, and they're saying that kill the white farmer and take their land. That's what. And I have other friends in South Africa. I have people that left. One in particular that says you can't go there. He said they want to take your land. They take your land and they kill you. It's okay, and they say it's okay to do. Now, we're going to talk about it, but this is a tremendous, look, this is a story recent. These are all people that recently got killed. Yeah. And I don't know how it can get any worse. These are, you know, the man that
we got the new 40 beheaded babies. This time, the Afrikaner edition.
You saw the men that you saw, the people that you saw on that.
Yes, I think it's also a way to undermine and soften the term genocide in the media zeitgeist, taking its power away when used for Gaza, as people see it used for this shit show, while also being like, hey, don't get any ideas, African Americans. That certainly is a part of this as well. You're not wrong.
Those are officials. Those are people that were in office. They had one march. They had a dance.
I hate this so much. I hate it so much. It's like, it's stupidity. It's dangerous levels of stupidity paired up with dangerous levels of racism. and it's getting elevated to a position of prominence by the fucking president. It's the worst. It's so bad. We are so goddamn cooked, dude. This is what happens when you got a fucking groiper president. It's so frustrating.
In your parliament, whatever you may call it, legislature.
Well, let me clarify that.
Yeah,
let me clarify that, because what you saw, the speeches that were being made, one, that is not government policy. We have a multi-party democracy in South Africa that allows people to express themselves, political parties to adhere to various policies, and in many cases, or in some cases, those policies do not go along with government policy. Our government policy is completely against what he was saying, even in the parliament. And they're a small minority party, which is allowed to exist in terms of our constitution.
But you do allow them to take land.
No.
You do allow them to take land.
Nobody can take land.
And then when they take the land, they kill the white farmer. And when they kill the white farmer, nothing happens to them.
No.
Oh, just a maddening situation. Because, like, he's so cucked, he has to fucking play nice. He has to play nice. Yeah, luckily, Trump didn't make a bigger deal about the ICJ situation. Yeah, thank God he's so stupid he doesn't know what's going on there, that he's not bringing that up to be like, well, you know, you say that Israel's doing a genocide when it's not. It's just defending itself, but you're doing a genocide to the white farmers. Why? Why doesn't he just rip him a new one in front of the cameras? I don't know, because it's the United States of America we're talking about. Think about the unprecedented amount of power that they have on the global stage. If he wanted to, he could literally arrest this person and claim that he was arresting this person for the crime of genocide. Okay? Do you understand the amount of power that the American president has? They could literally arrest him on the spot and say, you're doing a genocide. I'm arresting you. What are you going to do about it? Once it was made clear that black people were possibly going to run South Africa, they had to dissolve their nuclear program, so they don't even have fucking nukes to retaliate, so they have no power. So what are they supposed to do? Who's going to go back and say, hey, what are you doing? Think about what Israel has done so far. The only reason why they're able to do this is because they are backed by the United States of America. So if, like, there is nothing that the United States of America could do that any other country is going to turn around and complain about. The only thing that people could do is just like try to play ball to the best of their ability and hope that like this insanity passes by. That's it. BRICS? Yeah, BRICS. Totally, dude. You're right. South Africa India is going to tell America, hey, you can't arrest the South African leader. What are you talking about? The only thing that I hope people can draw out of this is that this is in some ways not different than the way he treated Zelensky. Okay. This is yet another obvious showcase that like there is no real democratic process. What America says goes. And when this guy is holding on to the reins, he's already dropping the pretext of democracy or the democratic process or diplomacy, and he's just showing you exactly how this power dynamic works. That's what's so frustrating about this, is that all of those people that turn around and say, well, Hassan, you say America bad, but like, look at all the beautiful liberalism that America has engaged in. This is it. This is what was going on behind closed doors anyway. And now Donald Trump has made it so that everyone can fucking recognize exactly what this power dynamic looks like.
There is
nothing happens.
There is criminality in our country. People who do get killed, unfortunately, through criminal activity are not only white people. Majority of them are black people. And we have now...
The farmers are not black.
That's not true. It's actually the fucking farmhands that are getting killed. He's also wrong about that too. When he says like, the farmers are white, the farmers are white. No, the farm owners are white, and you're still wrong anyway. The farm workers are black. I wonder how that works. I wonder why it works that way. The farm owners are white. The farm workers are black. When farm murders are taking place, they're talking about the black people that are being killed in the farms. It's still overwhelmingly black people that are victims of all forms of economic violence, of all forms of structural violence and direct violence in South Africa. South Africa is a very imbalanced country, okay? There is a shit ton of wealth disparity in the country. It is still very much a de facto, if even though it's not a legal structure of apartheid, there's still a not so legal de facto structure of apartheid when it comes to the economics of everyday black existence in South Africa, as opposed to the Afrikaners and white South Africans that live in Johannesburg.
I don't say that's good or bad, but the farmers are not black. And the people that are being killed in large numbers, and you saw all those grave sites, and those are people that loved ones going, I guess on a Sunday morning, they told me, to pay respect to their loved ones that were killed. Their heads chopped off, they died violently. And, you know, I mean, we're here to talk about it, and I didn't know we'd get involved here. But I will say this, that if the news wasn't fake, like NBC, which is fake news, totally, one of the worst, ABC, NBC, CBS, horrible. But if they weren't fake news like this jerk that we have here, if we had real reporters, they'd be covering it. But the fake news in this country doesn't talk about that. They don't want to talk about it, but now they have to talk about it. But they won't. This won't even be a subject. They'll have him talking about why did a country give a free, think of this, why did a country give an airplane to the United States Air Force? Okay, the United States, not to me, to the United
He's still talking about the fucking stupid ass plane, bro. White people are 8% of South Africa's population, but own 72% of the land. Black South Africans are 80% of the population, but only own 4%. But there's a genocide against white South Africans. So then you look more into it, and it turns out that there were a total of 50 white farmers killed last year, many of whom were killed by their family and friends. So white South African farmers are the safest group in the entire country, but there's a genocide against them. I'm not sure if you saw my message, but they use Boer, which simply means farmer in Afrikaans, and Boer meaning Afrikaner, interchangeably depending on the motives. I don't care. White farmer in South Africa gets into a fucking car crash and they're like, this is white genocide. Now, here's the thing. The actual reason why people are actually complaining about this is because on the legal front, the ANC has fallen out of grace. They've fallen out of favor. Okay? They've lost a lot of their popularity. South Africa experiences blackouts. Their energy grid gets pummeled regularly. They have a lot of issues in South Africa. A lot of, I mean, the stuff that we talk about in terms of like the remnants of this apartheid still very much exist in South Africa. And the ANC is very unpopular. And in that process of unpopularity, they've decided to actually enact the constitutional change that was supposed to happen in like fucking 1994. Okay? And the process, and I'm telling you, this process is constitutionally protected. It was supposed to happen immediately after the apartheid was dissolved. Okay? There was supposed to be I can't even talk. There was supposed to be an expropriation of land, an ownership exchange from the white landowners in apartheid South Africa to the state. Okay? Keep saying buzzwords. Oh my God. Oh my God. I cannot deal with this. Brother, your stupidity does not, you can't make it my problem that you're too stupid to understand the words I'm using. Like, read a fucking book. Maybe start with a dictionary. Holy shit. Oh, like maybe don't watch political commentary or go to a political commentator that is speaking at your level. I said buzzwords, dude. What are we fucking doing, man? The situation is so dire. I am losing so much confidence in my fellow citizens every single fucking day. I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, chat brigading is getting worse. That means you hurt them, lol. I know. The soy right is has maintained ownership over their feelings being hurt. They just like keep they have this crazy ownership over being stupid. Not defending the Kill the Boer song, but his history was in fighting the apartheid. They used Boer to refer to the Afrikaner supremacist National Party government. It was not referring to all white people. I know. And I also don't care that they sing Kill the Boer. Like, yeah, they do. Who cares? I don't give a shit. Okay? I don't care. Like, the major problem in South Africa isn't that Malema is too aggressive in his commentary towards white people. Okay? And he's edgy. The major problem in South Africa is what I'm talking about. The lack of economic redistribution that was supposed to happen in the aftermath of the dissolution of the apartheid. It never took place. And as a consequence of that, that inequality has festered. That's the actual issue. It's not like, mean words being said by the EFF. I don't care. It's on the same level. It's even fucking worse, honestly. But yeah, it's like talking about Israelis' feelings during their fucking genocidal campaign on Gaza. Like, I don't give a shit what the Israeli feelings are. What are you, stupid? Are you insane? Why the fuck would I care about that? Like, what do you think is more consequential? The feelings of Israelis while they're doing a fucking genocide, or the genocide itself? Liberals are so distorted in their principles that they just can't comprehend that, like, systematic harm is far more consequential, far worse, far more pervasive, legalized, and must be dealt with, as opposed to the mean words that people say against said lack of distribution of wealth. They're resetting the history of South Africa in the mind of the American? Yeah, I guess. Oh, your stance is rock solid? Yes, it is. It is. And if you try to fucking twist this back to like some kind of neo-Nazi sentiment, you will recognize that there is no systematic harm being done to white people in the United States of America. And it's just a product of your imagination. So of course I'm not going to take that seriously, especially at a time when the Trump administration is directed by the white supremacists themselves. So when they say white supremacist shit in the United States of America, that's a lot more meaningful and a lot more dangerous.
United States Air Force, so they could help us out, because we need an Air Force.
Oh, this fucking dumbass still talking about it.
One should say what we would also take.
I would take it. If your country offered the United States Air Force a plane, I would take it.
Okay. But coming back to this issue, which I really would like us to talk about, and talk about it very calmly. We were taught by Nelson Mandela that whenever there are problems, people need to sit down around a table and talk about them.
Well, there are
problems. And this is precisely what we would also like to talk about, including, of course, trade matters, investment matters. So the issues that concern you as the United States.
Those are all those are all deaths.
Yeah, in many ways, I mean, one should say you are a partner of South Africa, and you are raising concerns, and these are concerns that we are willing to talk to you about. Let me just add quickly, you know, the criminality that we are experiencing in our country needs quite a lot of technological capability. And in one of our areas in South Africa, we're using US technology, which is able to, in many ways...
I did not skip over the South African president wishing he could offer a plane. I heard him. And Trump said, I would gladly take your plane. I know. This is how we do business now, okay? It's literally paying the king for fealty, okay? That is how this works. Trump is the God King. He's got the heavens mandate, and every other nation leader has to pay the piper. They have to go up to the king. They have to go up to the king and say, please, sir, we have gifts for you.
Identify where shootings are happening and all that. And I'd like to talk about that, because there is support that we can get from you as the United States to help us deal with all these acts of criminality. And that is what I believe partnership is all about. And we are here as a partner so that we can help each other whenever there are challenges. So I'd like us to discuss it, and of course outside of the media, so that we sit down and have a really good discussion that will lead to good outcomes.
Punitive measures that could be in place should you not be satisfied that South Africa is fixing some of the very bad things, in inverted commas, that you tweeted are happening?
Well, there are a lot of bad things happening in many countries, but this in particular has been very, very bad, very bad. And because of we're going to have the whole world watching in another short period of time because you have the G20, and that's a big deal. And it seems like, I mean, I want you to look good. I don't want you to look bad.
Very good.
But we have hundreds of people, thousands of people trying to come into our country because they feel they're going to be killed and their land is going to be confiscated.
That's not even true. You brought in 58 of the most heart diseased Nazis you could find. That's it. There aren't thousands of people. I don't even think there are thousands of Afrikaners that would come to the United States of America. Why the fuck would they? Half of them that are racist are still LARPing as though they are engaging in the act of settler colonialism in like the fucking 18th century. And the other half are obviously cognizant that there is no fucking white genocide.
And you do have laws that were passed that gives you the right to confiscate land for no payment. You can take away land for no payment.
I want to clarify that because we have a constitution. Our constitution guarantees and protects the sanctity of tenure of land ownership. And that constitution protects all South Africans with regard to land ownership. However, we do say, because we've got to deal with the past, the government, and as your government also has the right to expropriate land.
Dude, can you imagine? I mean, it's just like trying to describe to Donald Trump of all people the concept of reparations is crazy. Like perhaps one of the worst people to explain this to. In his mind, when he hears this, he's like, oh, so you're admitting that there is a genocide going on. White Americans think there's a white genocide going on when you talk about like affirmative action, dude. Deeply selfish, deeply stupid, deeply racist people.
For public use.
And you're doing that.
And we've never really gotten underway with that. And we are going to be doing so.
You're taking people's land away
we have not.
From them.
We have,
and those people, in many cases, are being executed. Yeah. They're being executed. And they happen to be white, and most of them happen to be farmers. Mm-hmm. And that's a tough situation. I don't know how you explain that. How do you explain that? They're taking people's land away, and in many cases, those people are being executed. And in many cases, it's not the government that's doing it. It's people that kill them and then take their land, and nothing happens to them. But we have thousands of people that want to come into our country. They're also going to Australia in a smaller number. Mm-hmm. But we have thousands of people that want to come into our country, and they're white farmers, and they feel that they're going to die in South Africa. And it's a bad thing. Yeah, please.
What can South Africa do? What concessions would you like to see them make to improve relations with the United States? Then I have one more for President Ramaphosa afterwards.
Well, we just spoke about it. I got them a very, very complex machine, 150 of them. I was asked by the president if it could help, and I did that. And, I have great feeling for all countries. I deal with all countries. But I have a great feeling for South Africa because I have friends. I have a couple of friends, a few friends here today. I have many friends from South Africa, but many of those friends are not, they can't go back. I have Elon is from South Africa. I don't want to get Elon involved. That's all I have to do, get him into another thing. But
bro, he's literally like, I'll send him back. I'll send him back, and you're cooked. That's a threat, dude. That is the biggest threat possible. I'll send Elon Musk's annoying ass back to South Africa is probably the worst thing you can say. Ay, ay, ay.
Elon happens to be from South Africa. This is what Elon wanted. He actually came here on a different subject, sending rockets to Mars, okay? Yes. He likes that better. He likes that subject better. That's right. But Elon is from South Africa, and I don't
he admits that he's entertaining the stupid thing, partially because he wants to give catnip to the white nationalists and white supremacists who he's kind of fallen out of favor with because like of his unconditional loyalty to Israel. So he has to like recover. He has to recover that. It's a perfect way to do it, by the way, because this way you can also attack You do this while you're simultaneously attacking South Africa for its court case against Israel's genocide at ICJ. Fantastic.
I don't think it's fair to him.
That's right.
But I will say that people are fleeing South Africa for their own safety. Their land is being confiscated.
Why is the entire world pandering to the U.S. and Trump like this? Why isn't there some kind of inside coup? Why is the USA as the world superpower always as the status quo? Why not try to change it, challenge it at the very least? I think a lot of people that ask questions like this are asking very good questions. And I think those people are basically understanding the position that I have been at for the past 12 years of my professional media career, where I kept describing to people that, like, when events are unfolding around the world, America always has a hand in said events. When I say like, oh, America bad, or whenever my naysayers constantly say, Hassan says America bad, why do you always blame America for this? Why do you always blame America for that? You're beginning to recognize how much power the United States of America has. That's it. The only difference is Donald Trump has done away with the fake diplomacy. Donald Trump does not play the role of diplomat as previous leadership did in an effort to maintain some semblance of soft power capabilities. America's not playing that game anymore. It's saying, we are the global hegemon. You do what we say. We say jump, you say how high. The reality is that countries are self-interested and are desperate. South Africa cannot afford to shut off American investment. They just can't. You can't blame impoverished countries for doing what they need to do to survive. But every other country is in the same status. That's the whole point. When compared to the United States of America, there is a reason why the entirety of the European Union will place themselves in a servile status to American interest. That's because America runs the fucking world. Like, I think a lot of people just refuse to recognize this. And I guess, like, the silver lining here with Trump's indecent nature is that it's making it impossible to deny. This is the real global order. Trump is basically piercing through that veil. Trump is basically unsheathing America's global dominance for all to see. He's saying it like it is. Turns out all it took for many people was the semblance of diplomacy from leaders in the past to make it seem as though other countries have a say. Other countries have some semblance of sovereignty in this process. They don't. And this is how it's been since the Cold War ended. The most countries can do is basically try to leverage the United States of America for better deals by cozying up to China. That's what the BRICS is.
And in many cases, they're being killed. And that scene of, you see how many crosses they have. Those crosses, that's a dead person in every one of them. And those trucks or cars are paying their respects to all of those dead people on a Sunday morning. That's a rough thing to explain away. And the problem we have, and the way, a correct and a fair media exposes things. But
I do think there is an alternative vision here, but that alternative vision requires European countries to actually switch ownership away from the United States of America to behave like the BRICS nations have done so far by cozying up to China. But they too are far too Orientalist in their framework to engage in this. They are, for lack of a better term, too racist for their own good. I'm not saying, like, become China's lapdog. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what they could do in order to at least threaten America's hegemonic power status is to basically leverage build a better relationship with China in an effort to have more leverage against the United States of America, because collectively the entirety of the world, the entirety of the planet could actually take on American hegemonic power status. Obviously, a major hurdle against that is NATO. But wouldn't America lose their shit over that? Like, wouldn't they try to punish those countries for doing so? I mean, this goes back to the same principle behind what are they going to do? Kill all of us? Like, if there is only so much There's only so much pressure. There's only so much pressure you can apply. Like, there are competing interests here. No, the answer is not yes. Okay, that's ridiculous. Like, there is another way out of this. Okay, why do you trust China so much? They wouldn't allow our speech. Oh my God, I'm losing my fucking mind. There is real reason not to trust China. Look at the and they are communist. You don't even know how to spell Uyghur. And then you used communist as a pejorative. You think I give a shit that the fucking Communist Party of China is communist? Yeah, no. That's not a pejorative here. That's a benefit, okay? Anyway, I didn't even say offer unconditional fealty to China like you have with the United States of America. Wait, hold on. Wait 1 second. How are you able to cherry pick the dumbest people in the chat? I don't know. Yeah, I'm not saying offer unconditional loyalty to China, become servile to Chinese interests. I'm simply stating that there are a lot of countries that are in the periphery that have cozied up to China in an effort to bargain better with the United States of America in an effort to get leverage. Okay? And this is what European leaders should be doing as well. China hasn't proven itself to be a meaningful alternative to the U.S. in the ways that the USSR did, but it's certainly better than nothing to give countries a second option if they want involvement in the global economy. Exactly.
We have a very corrupt media. They won't even report this. If this were the other way around, it would be the biggest story. Now, I will say apartheid, terrible. That was the biggest story. That was reported all the time. This is sort of the opposite of apartheid. What's happening now is never reported. Nobody knows about it.
So it's good. This is the opposite of apartheid. Okay, so it's a good thing. The opposite of apartheid is what? Economic restitution? Thank you. Exactly. I know he's too stupid to understand what he's saying. He's trying to say this is reverse racism. This is reverse racism.
All we know is we're being inundated with people, with white farmers from South Africa, and it's a big problem. Marco Rubio was telling me he's never seen anything like it. The numbers of people that want to leave South Africa because they feel they're going to be dead very soon. Yes, please.
72% of farmers in your country are white. If they flee, do you feel that maybe the economy could collapse?
Dude, yeah. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is the dumbest, most racist argument of all time. The idea that in 2025, a modern nation state that is run by black people is incapable of doing the agricultural output that white people were doing is so stupid. All of the fucking farm workers are black, you dumbass. The idea that like, oh, what will you do? What will South Africa do without the white farm owners is so crazy. Who do you think works the farms? God, this fucking dipshit, dude. The one who was like, oh, why aren't you wearing a suit to Zelensky?
You may not have a gap to fill in those people that need to replace those farmers.
You know, I'd like my Minister of Agriculture, who is white, who comes from an opposition party to mine, who's joined my government at my invitation to address this very issue, including the question that you've just raised. John?
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Yeah.
Mr. President, thank you for welcoming us to the White House. I would say we have a rural safe problem in South Africa. I don't think anyone wants to candy coat that. And
this is also part of the reason why I said like America actually taking some of the fucking white farmers off the hands of the South African government is not necessarily the worst thing. Partially because they're marginal and inconsequential, but also, yeah, great. This allows the fucking government to actually expropriate some of this land and reallocate those resources to the fucking black farmers. Great. In a weird way, they're so racist that they're unironically helping the interests of black South Africans. That's why I jokingly said they're decolonizing Africa. I don't have an issue with that. I don't like if these guys want to leave because they feel like they're getting a shitty bargain here and they're worried that the government might take their land or something. Then great. Like leaving the land is great. There are so many racists on Twitter who have been like, you should salt the earth before you leave. Fuck those guys. And it's like, dude, you are such a piece of shit. Problem is that they still own the land. Nope, not a problem. Not a problem when you can, when you could take the land. You could just take the fucking land. They're no longer there. It's your land. No, it won't happen. Black oligarchs will take it. Please don't make such statements. Of course, it's probably not the farm owners that are leaving, because why would they leave? They own the farms and they know it's not a real problem. Black oligarchs, yes, that is also not fake. That is real, for the record. That is a real thing. All that took place in South Africa in the aftermath of the apartheid was basically a couple black dudes were able to also reach the highest levels of wealth, and then that was it. It's not wrong to suggest that like the ownership changing from white hands to like a singular black one is not going to offer the economic restitution that was promised.
It requires a lot of effort to get on top of it. It's going to require more policing resources. It's going to require a different strategy to be able to deal with it. But certainly the majority of South Africa's commercial and smallholder farmers really do want to stay in South Africa and make it work. And I've just come from the largest agricultural show in the Southern Hemisphere with organized agriculture and farmers, and the majority of them want to stay. But they too there have a memorial to those who've died as a result of farm attacks. And as the Minister of Agriculture, it is something that I'm particularly exercised with my colleagues at police.
There it is. A member of the group that's being genocided, by the way. This is John Steenhuisen. I hate him so much. He's from the DA party, which is like the Democrat Party in America. Pandaroo Raccoon, please stop fucking making the gorilla analogy. That's why you're getting ignored hard today. Okay? That's why you're getting ignored. Where you're making an analogy that uses gorillas when talking about South Africa. Okay? Perhaps that's the reason why I'm not paying attention to your fucking stupid analogy. Please stop. There's also 30,000 other people in here. Obviously, I'm not going to get to every single person and their unique commentary on the situation.
And my colleagues in the justice cluster to start making farm attacks and stock theft a priority crime. And it affects all farmers in South Africa, particularly stock theft. It has a disproportionate effect on smallholder black farmers. I also want to just say this, that the two individuals that are in that video that you've seen are both leaders of opposition minority parties in South Africa. Umkhonto we Sizwe under Mr. Zuma and the economic freedom fighters under Mr. Malema. Now, the reason that my party, the Democratic Alliance, which has been an opposition party for over 30 years, chose to join hands with Mr. Ramaphosa's party was precisely to keep those people out of power. We cannot have those people sitting in the union buildings making decisions. And that is why after 30 years of us exchanging barbs across the floor in Parliament and trying to get one over on each other, we've decided to join hands precisely to keep that lot out of government. Because the day they get in to the doors of the union buildings in South Africa or control of our parliament, that's what you're going to see. And that is why this government...
Oh my God. Oh my fucking God. Oh my God. Ugh. He's literally there to be like, listen, the real villains here are the people who would do a white genocide, which is EFF. Like, that's why we have this coalition. And they are the right wing. Like, the ANC are already neoliberal. And the DA, the Democrat Alliance, is even more right wing than they are. And this fucking dipshit is sitting there being like, no, white genocide will happen if the EFF gets into power. That's why we have this alliance, this allegiance here, after years and years of being an opposition party.
Working together needs the support of our allies around the world so that we can strengthen our hand, grow our economy, and shut the door forever on that rabble getting through the doors of the union bodies, because then South Africa's future would be...
So you denounced that type of language in the video that you saw?
Oh, yes. We've always done so. As government, as my own party, we are completely opposed to that. We, in 1955, adopted a document which said South Africa belongs to all who live in it.
But why wouldn't you arrest that man? That man said, kill the white farmers, kill the white farmers. And then he danced, and he's dancing, and it's kill the white farmers. I think, I'm not sure, but I think if somebody got up...
I guess the answer to that question would be, if we don't actually do any sort of expropriation of land, they are going to win. Okay? Isn't that the whole point? Like, also, like the Kill the Boer shit by the Free Speech Warrior. Kill the Boer is a anti-apartheid song that they're singing, and the entire position of the fucking party, aggressive in its language or not, is that obviously the economic restitution that was promised has not been provided to Black South Africans, and they are the ones who are demanding it. The EFF is a CIA asset. It is there to control black frustration because of the neoliberal order, which causes the rampant inequality. The Supreme Court here ruled that it is not hate speech. It's just excusing calls for violence. Oh my God. Oh my Lord. Yeah, this is the EFF manifesto. Frequently asked questions, okay? On land expropriation without compensation. They are against the South African government, the current government's and the Constitution's position that is much lighter terms, okay? The lighter terms here from the ANC is that they get offered market rate for all the farmland that the government takes, okay? The government has the legal responsibility to take the farmland and reappropriate the farmland to Black South Africans, okay? The EFF says, fuck that. No economic restitution whatsoever. And to be fair, I don't even disagree with that position. Like, what do you mean? Economic restitution for land that was stolen from the fucking population that lived there is already ridiculous. But we live in 2025. So I understand why this concession would be made. The very fact that people are still freaking out over it, though, when they want market rates, like what they're freaking out over market rates being paid out to stolen land for farmers, white farmers, is crazy. If you don't let that happen, if you don't let the market rate redistribution of land potentially take place, then yeah, you're going to actually see this. You're going to see this attitude take its place. Wait, what? Sounds like there's some middle ground of taking the land away and giving assistance or market rate for some time or some discount being given. Interesting you say that, because that is the middle ground. Hold on.
Up in Parliament and started saying kill a certain group of people, he would be arrested very quickly. That man is going all over South Africa, and that's not a small party. That was a stadium that holds 100,000 people, and I hardly saw an empty seat. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of representation. And those crosses, we have dead white people, dead white farmers, mostly. And you take a look at Australia, they're being inundated, and we're being inundated with people that want to get out. And their farm is valueless. It's valueless. And they just want to get out with their life. And this is a very serious situation. And if we had a real news or real press or media, we don't have that, because they won't talk about this, because they're all guys like that idiot. But if we had a real press, it would be exposed. And you know, the beauty of exposing it is it's like a cleansing action. When it gets exposed, it'll get fixed. That's when it'll get fixed. But people don't talk about it. And I'll tell you who's talking about the thousands of people that are fleeing South Africa right now.
The devastating impact the cuts are having across the African continent.
You know, it's devastating, and hopefully a lot of people are going to start spending a lot of money. And I've talked to other nations. We want them to chip in and spend money too. And we've spent a lot, and it's a tremendous problem.
Sorry, that suggestion that you presented is literally the suggestion that the ANC government is starting the process of acting on, and that is what these guys are calling. That's what Trump is calling a white genocide.
Going on in many countries, a lot of problems going on. The United States always gets the request for money. Nobody else helps, as you know. Europe doesn't help. Europe hasn't given anything. All they do is sue our companies. You know, they sue Apple, and they sue all of our companies. Apple had to pay $17 billion on a nonsense lawsuit. very unfair. But we're going to always be there to help. I mean, it's a little bit bad when you see a stadium with 100,000 people in it, because that means it's more than just a little movement. It's a pretty big movement in South Africa. So it has to be resolved. It'll be the end of the country if it's not.
Hassan, your charitability is something I aspire to obtain myself. My brain shuts down when I hear racist people speak about anything involving a minority. I just want a Vietnamese man waving his gun. Yeah. What? People are not 100% responsible for the actions of their ancestors. Some retribution seems fair. Wait, what? Yeah, except these guys are quite literally continuing that same exact unjustifiable hierarchy. That's the problem here. The problem here is, that is what these guys are seeking to continue.
The relationship moving forward.
I hope so. That's why I'm here. I mean, I'm not here for my health. I'm here to. No, I'd like to see. I have friends. I can tell you, Ernie Els and Retief Goosen, they feel so strongly they wanted to be here on behalf of South Africa, not on behalf of me. And they said, "Can we be here for this?" Because they love the country. Ernie, do you guys want to say a couple of words? I hate to put you in this. This is tougher than sinking a 3-footer, and they've sank many 3-footers.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thanks for the honor of being here. We've known each other a long time.
Yeah, they brought the golfer to appease Trump. Seemingly, it didn't work.
We're proud South Africans. I still have my South African passport. We travel with this passport, and I got my visa here. So, but we want to see things get better in our home country. That's the bottom line. It's been 35 years since the transition. President Ramaphosa was right in the middle of the transition time in 1990 and before that. So it's been 35 years of ANC government. And I know there's a lot of anger, through the transition. There was also a lot of stuff happening in the apartheid days. We grew up in the apartheid era. But I don't think two wrongs makes a right. President Mandela, when he came out of prison for all that time, didn't come out with hatred, and really unified our nation through sport. We won the Rugby World Cup in '95.
4 times.
We won the African Nations Cup, soccer. We won some majors as golfers and so forth. So what I'm trying to say is, this has been a long time coming. That's why we really wanted to meet you, meet the administration, and see our way forward, because we still want to see our country flourish. We've got some great things going on. Business is getting involved with government. Farmers are getting involved in local municipalities, trying to rebuild some of the infrastructure that's been decaying for a long time. So there's a lot of coexistence going on and help from a lot of areas. But I feel we need the US to push this thing through. We've got a great ally if we can have the US. It's always been an ally of South Africa for a very long time. Even in the days of the war, up in Angola, you guys helped us. So very important for us to have your support and get the change we need.
Where did you do that well? Even better than he plays golf, which is almost impossible. Johan, please.
Sorry, Mr. President, if you had to buy all of those tapes properly, you will see I'm the biggest target, number one, for over 10 years, Mr. Malema. In fact, the first time I met him, he was in the youth league with that gentleman, and look how he's changed.
Right.
We have too many deaths, but it's across the board. It's not only white farmers, it's across the board. And we need technological help. We need Starlink at every little police station. We need drones. I actually got drones donated for the peace parks to stop elephant and rhino poaching. And his predecessor stopped the importation because he said the United States would spy on us. I mean, US basics, the ridicule. So if you can help us. Remember, sir, you and I lived in New York in the 70s. We never thought New York could be what it became. 2 commissioners, a tough mayor. We need your help to stop this awful killing. But it's across the board.
I can't believe, dude, the more I hear white South Africans talk, the more I hear white South African Bond villains talk about the conditions in the backdrop of Donald Trump claiming that there's a fucking genocide. And these guys are supposed to be the ones who are like, it's not happening, Mr. President, but also it kind of is happening. The more I understand the EFF position, it took me like 35 seconds to hear from the richest man in South Africa for me to be like, okay, I get what Malema's talking about. Like, this is the guy who's supposed to be like, Mr. President, it's not happening. But he can't help himself. He has to turn around and be like, you know, it's across the board, Mr. President, but also look at what has happened to New York. It's like, dude, why are you fucking trying to export? Like, I guess, like, this is why I say why South Africans, like, can be either very cool people or just as hog-like as the American racists are. This is the guy who is like an American hog. He's like, yeah, we gotta be tough on crime, Mr. President. It's not a, like, he has the positive position here because he's at least like denying that the charges of genocide, but then still being like, yeah, but we gotta make sure we do away with this criminal element in the country. Like, you're not wrong. These blacks are getting out of control.
He's right now building a house in George. I'm building 3 cottages for my grandchildren on a farm outside Grafrenet. I often go to bed without locking the door. And we have a serious problem with illegal aliens who stream across the border. And if you really look at our statistics, a lot of these murders, firstly, it's unemployment and illegal aliens. And then I met Vice President Bartz many years ago at Charlie Rose show. My wife loved the book. And she reminded me this morning that you emphasized the devastation that occurs when big companies leave towns and cities. And there's a culture of dependency that develops. And I remember you discussing it. Now that's our problem. If we don't get our economy to grow, the culture of dependency and the lawlessness will increase. I've been against apartheid all my life, and I'm their #1 target. Please just Google my name and Malema. You'll see it, sir. He marched on the farm.
But the crime is bad.
The crime is terrible, sir, but Mr. Steenhuisen won't admit to it, but he runs the Western Cape, where I live. And the biggest murder rate is in the Cape Flats. Gangs. We've got gang warfare. Like your M33, whatever these guys. We've got equivalents there. But we need your help, sir. And we need Elon technology.
Well, one of the real areas of support is really in investments. We've got to grow our economy, because through growing the economy, we're then able to create more jobs. Because crime really thrives where there is inequality and unemployment. And that is one of the reasons that has brought us here, to improve our investment relations, our trade relations, so that we can preserve the number of jobs that your companies have created in South Africa. By virtue of what we export to you, we are able to create up to 500,000 jobs in the auto industry, in the agricultural industry, and a number of other industries, mining, where we export things to you. And we also know that as South African companies invest here, you are also able to create jobs. So it's a mutually beneficial relationship. So our main real reason for being here is to foster trade and investment, so that we are able to grow our economy with your support, and so that we are also able to address all these societal problems, because criminality thrives, when people are unemployed, when they have no other hope to eke out a living. So that is what we need to resolve. And your support, your partnership with us is what is really going to give us a strong capability to move forward.
Excuse me, do you have anything to say?
I think Lil Bear is correct. Ramaphosa was so good at glazing Trump without conceding. I won't vote for the man, but he's incredible with diplomacy. He navigated this so well. I will give credit. I feel like if you are a black South African politician, you know your way around talking to racist white people. Like, I feel like it just comes with the territory. You are an expert at navigating conversations with like some of the most heinous racist people alive.
I don't want to leave you out. You know, the guy won 3 or 4 majors. 3 or 4?
No, only 2.
2. That's a lot. By the way, 2's a lot. A lot of tournaments you won, too. Do you have anything to say?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. President Ramaphosa. I grew up in an area in South Africa that is a farmland area, Polokwane. And there is some issues up there. Obviously, my dad was a property developer as well as a part-time farmer. And yeah, some of these buddy farmers got killed. The farm is still going. My brothers run it, but it's a constant battle with farms they're trying to burn the farms down to chase you away. So it is a concern to try and make a living as a farmer. And at the end of the day, you know, without farmers, there's no food on the plate. So we need the farmers to produce the food.
Farming, right? He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't even want to do what you're doing, right? They love farming. They don't want to leave. But it's a struggle.
Yeah, and you know, food and fresh water is the most important thing in life. You know, without those 2 things, you can't survive.
How is the water there?
The water's great. Obviously, all the water comes out of the borehole, out of ground for us down there. But yeah, it is a battle to get the water out sometimes when all the equipment gets stolen all the time that you're trying to get the water out.
So does your family and your brother, do they feel safe on the farm?
They live behind electric fences, you know, try and be at night safe. But it is constant whenever you leave that something could happen. And
there's nowhere to live.
You know, both of them has been attacked in their houses. My mom's been attacked in her house when she was 80. So it is difficult. But you know, the guys live a great life despite everything going on.
Something.
President Trump, I brought along the president of...
I like that all the fucking rich white guys that they brought along are basically giving Trump enough ammunition to believe that there is definitely a white genocide, and they're too afraid to just openly recognize it. That's cool. Because like this right here is enough for him to be like, see, I was right. Like they're saying it's not a genocide, but basically it kind of is. Thank you, Mr. President, for saving South Africa.
The largest trade union in our country, Ziggy Solosi, because she leads many, many workers, more than 1 million, 2 million workers. And maybe we should give her a chance to say something because she's come all the way to join us.
Thank you very much, Mr. President Trump, for having us, and President, for extending the invitation to us as organized labor. And I must say that we are here to support the initiative that has been made by our government with business, of course, as organized labor. We've been coming to Washington on the AGOA trade relations in the previous regime. And I think at the center of it all, for me, it is exactly what Mr. Rupert has said, the importance of us growing the economy. We have always emphasized when we were here and kept on coming and negotiating on AGOA that the 600 US companies that are based in South Africa, as you said, President Ramaphosa, 500,000 jobs will be wiped out. We need more foreign direct investment in our country. We are not just talking about those that will lose employment, but we are talking about over 40% of people that are unemployed, that have no hope.
Oh, fuck. That was crazy. Quick on and off there. Anyway, we're still here.
As they have said, that we need to deal with the issue of porous borders in our country so that everyone that comes in is documented. We also need to and I would have thought that the minister would address the issue of land expropriation and how the policy works in South Africa. Recently, President, as you were preparing to come here on the news, in, I think it was in Natal, there was a handover of farms, and white farmers were saying, we are donating the land, but also there's a willing buyer, willing seller in South Africa. So there is no expropriation without compensation, but it is a willing buyer, willing seller. And that white farmer was even saying, President, that the government is even paying more in buying the land than what the land is worth of. And I think those are the realities, President, that we must say that we need to address, of course, but also the importance of agriculture linked to AGOA. People rely on it, and I think, as Retief have said, for survival and living. But lastly, for me,
I know this is like kind of rad libby and aesthetics focused, but I can't help but notice the way in which he listens to black people in that room versus the white people. Like the disparity, the difference is too fucking overt to not take note of. He literally, one, constantly cuts off all the fucking black people that speak, and he just lets people spit if lets the white guy speak. And on top of that, he's just like so visibly not listening and so visibly upset when this lady is when the union leader is talking.
President, is also the issue of the crime statistics. There is no doubt about it that we are a violent nation, you know, for a number of reasons. And
she's not even saying anything all that different from the white guys either.
But also, if you go into the rural areas where black majority are, you would see women, elderly, being raped, being killed, being murdered. And these are black elderly women that would be found throat slits, raped multiple times, and all of that. And the problem in South Africa, it is not necessarily about race, but it is about crime. And we think that we are here to say, how do we, both nations, work together to reset, to really talk about investment, but also help us in how we can have the technology and everything that is needed, President, to really address the levels of crime that we have in our country. Thank you very much.
Well, I haven't made up my mind. I hate to see it from the standpoint of South Africa, but also, you know, I'm trying to save lives. I'm working with Russia and Ukraine. I don't have to do that. It's not our war. It was started by other people. It was helped along by our past administration. It would have never happened if I were president, but I'm trying to save lives. And no matter where. Rwanda, I have nothing to do with Rwanda and the Congo, but I felt I had a very talented person in this administration, and I sent him there, and he did an unbelievable job, I think. I mean, we're going to find out, but he's done the hardest part of the job. It should happen. If I can save lives, I want to save the lives. If it's in Africa, that's great. If it's in Europe, if it's wherever it may be. And it's a very small investment to do, believe me, compared to what the consequences are. So I hope we can do something. Look, I have so many friends. These two men, I have great admiration for them because I know what they do for a living. And that's a very hard living. Going from city to city, from country to country, and hitting a ball 350 yards like they do, and getting the ball in the hole. It's a very tough, with lots of people watching, right?
Yes,
That's a very tough living. You know, they're champions. I respect champions. And I respect very much, and I think the country is very lucky. They really wanted to be here. That's true. They could be elsewhere. They could be on a beautiful
It really fucking worked, bro.
someplace,
It
and,
actually
they wanted
worked.
to be here.
Like bringing the golfers is such a stupid juvenile thing, and it literally worked. Like he's laughing because he's like, I can't believe how stupid this fucking guy is. All you need to do is give him a golf book and then put him in the presence of a couple golfers that he recognizes, and he's set. He's like, I don't know, maybe no genocide. After all, this golfer said, and he's white, no genocide has taken place. So I guess there's no genocide now. My bad. Bye-bye. Coco Melon is Scorsese for this man. Yeah, no, it's just put a couple rich white dudes in front of him to be like, Mr. President, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about with this genocide shit. in the lightest terms. And he goes, all right, never mind. Wasn't real. Sorry. Yeah, if there were fucking Palestinian golfers, maybe he would stop the fucking genocide that he is participating in. That was the big issue here, I guess.
My name is Yanda Mobile from Newsroom Africa in South Africa.
Good.
How important is it for the United States to be at our G20 summit in November, given the relationship between our two countries? You just heard what has been said to you just now. Are you coming, and are you preparing to come?
So without the United States, the G20, just like the G7, used to be the G8, but brilliantly they threw Russia out. Would have been a lot better if Russia was in. You know, a lot of people would say, oh, that's not it. Because if Russia was in, you probably wouldn't have this war. And if you had a different president, you wouldn't have the war either. But we have a G7. It's important that the United States is in both of them. I think without the United States, it's I really believe it's not very important. It's not the same meaning.
As I said to President Trump, the U.S. really originated the G20, and it's important that the United States continues to play a key role in the G20, and we are privileged to be the president of the G20, but we are even overjoyed that we are going to hand over to the United States, who are the originators, and for that reason, I expect the United States to continue playing the leadership role in the G20 together with other countries, and I've said when I initially spoke to President Trump on the phone, I want him to come to South Africa for a state visit, and I also want him to come and participate in the G20. And I want to gladly hand over to President Trump to take the leadership of the G20 forward in November.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. I don't want to leave.
You said it's very quality for Trump to listen to both sides, except the one side is just making shit up. And they're not even like a big enough side to listen to. It's just a bunch of it's a handful of people on the one side claiming falsely there's a fucking genocide taking place. And on the other side, you have the entirety of the country, down to the richest, whitest people in the country being like, yeah, it's fucking bullshit. It's crazy. Luckily, I guess, for South Africa, the golfers are on the side. Luckily for South Africa, the white golfers were on the side of no, it's not a real genocide. You know? I wish you'd stop eating on camera. Okay. Here, eat this perma.
Incredible moment. Another open to the cameras moment in the Oval Office, meeting with the South African president, President Trump there. A very open conversation. At one point, the president's staff playing out a video showing these claims of genocide in South Africa, which its leader has refuted. An amazing moment, Trace, and welcome everybody. I'm Sandra Smith in New York, to watch this in real time.
Yeah, and I'm Trace Gallagher in Los Angeles. John Roberts has the day off. This is America Reports. It really was fascinating because it became this kind of very congenial press conference between the South African President Cyril Ramaphosa as well as the President Trump. And they had golfers, Ernie Els, Retief Goosen from South Africa, and it was very fun. And then they played the video, Sandra, of these allegations, the video of these groups, including groups that Elon Musk has pointed out, like the economic freedom fighters, that believe that there is genocide, that have called for genocide in South Africa, this time against white farmers. President Trump has given those farmers refugee status. He was asked a question about whether he believes there is genocide, and he said he didn't know, but he clearly is concerned that some white farmers in South Africa are being targeted because he has done many things to try and alleviate those harms.
Another moment of transparency from this White House, the promised transparency. This went for about an hour and 6 minutes. Trace, let's bring in Peter Ducey, our White House correspondent, is standing by. Not only did they play out the video, Peter, but also talking about the G20, President Trump saying he feels it's important to them for South Africa to look good at the G20. He at one point held up copies of articles about South Africans saying these are deaths. What is the reaction so far there?
Sandra,
And Trace, I didn't even know that you could dim the lights in the Oval Office, which is decades old. Seems like a place that would just have an on or off switch, but President Trump called for the lights to be dimmed so that he could show this multimedia presentation to basically call the visiting South African president's bluff. The South African president came here to say there is no genocide happening in South Africa. President Trump basically said, okay, well, then what's all of this? And he showed political leaders and opposition leaders in South Africa saying some very heinous and violent things.
Incredible, man. Thank you. Wow, they have light dimmers in the Oval. That's crazy. Incredible technological developments happening. Oh, Peter Douchey. All the worst douchebags are winning, and I genuinely fucking despise it. One of the worst aspects of this government, aside from like the metric ton of evil they're contributing to, is also how galvanized the stupids have gotten in the process. I hate it. I can't stand it. According to their standards, wouldn't Gaza be a genocide? No, there would be a different... If what's happening to white farmers in South Africa constitutes a genocide, then you need a different name for what's going on in Gaza. Like, you can't call those two things the same thing. Like a mega genocide or like a super Holocaust or something. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. Even the Holocaust itself would have to be named something different. Like, it's just not, you know, it's not comparable. It's ridiculous. You have to rewrite all the rules. The stupidest thing to me is how much credit these people give to a leader like Malema. Yes, he has a following, and the EFF are nowhere near as influential as these people say they are. I think the irony is that the EFF will become more influential if the ANC government doesn't take any action in terms of offering economic restitution. Like, that's it. Like, the resentment is understandable. Because, like, you have to remember something. The EFF is not arriving at this position that we look at as, like, crazy and violent out of nowhere, or because they just, like, racially despise white people. Their anger is born out of the false promises made by the South African government in the aftermath of the apartheid. South Africa, broadly, is really fucked up still. That's what all of those, like, rich white guys were also addressing as well. Some of them refuse to talk about the real victims, which would be the black South Africans, who are still in horrifying material conditions. But that's it. There's a reason why Malema has gotten any popularity whatsoever. There's a couple chatters in here that are just like, they have their stories and they just keep spamming it. Like, one chatter wants me to cover St. Louis. The other one wants me to cover Adriana Smith. I haven't looked into it. Okay. Please stop spamming the stories over and over again. I know Adriana Smith is on life support, so the government can forcibly fucking extract a child out of her. I know. I am aware. It's a baby incubator situation. I know. It's not like I am currently covering nothing. I am doing something right now. Do you see that? Do you hear that? And then the other chatter's like, dude, cover St. Louis. I did. I already did. The lack of funding contributed to the disastrous tornadoes becoming even more disastrous than they normally would have.
For several minutes, and he just made the
One of the funniest things I have to mention here, by the way, is the fucking metric ton of Asmongold fans who have come in here to be like, I hear Asmongold is in your mind. I haven't brought up his name even fucking once today. He, on the other hand, I know has covered me multiple times today, and his dumb fuck fans keep coming in here to bring up his name for some reason. You guys come in here and talk about how showerless you are and how rotted you are, both inside and out, and demand drama take place. Leave me the fuck alone, man. Holy shit. And then the moment that I cover Mold Man, they go, hup, see? Fucking rent-free, dude. It's like, no, you're the one who is bringing him up. I haven't talked about him. I'm talking about the fucking news. Why the fuck would I care about what he has to say about anything?
And the rest of the South African delegation sit there in the half-dark room and watch it. And afterwards, President Trump did want to talk a little bit about trade, and his visiting famous golfer friends from South Africa got to speak as well. He said he has not made up his mind, despite the presentation that he had the staff cut and put forward. He's not made up his mind yet about whether or not there's genocide happening. That is something the South African team strenuously strenuously denies. And it's worth pointing out that is definitely the most awkward Oval Office meeting since Zelensky was here. It ended a little bit better because I can see the vehicle. It is not leaving. The South African delegation is not leaving early. They will be sticking around for lunch. But really, when you watch that, it seems like the Trump foreign policy doctrine is a lot like the old slogan for the MTV show The Real World, where people stop being polite and start getting real. And that's what we just saw from President Trump.
A couple of things, Peter, I noticed there. One was a good question from a South African reporter. She was asking about the G20 summit in South Africa coming up in November. President Trump said it was important that the United States be present at that. Didn't really commit to actually going to the G20 summit, so that's something yet to be seen. But I'm wondering about Elon Musk's hand in all of this. We know that he is South African. Elon Musk has complained again and again about that his Starlink satellite provider was not allowed to operate in South Africa, primarily because he is white. I'm wondering what the reaction there was and how much that played into the videotape playing, as you will, and the lights being dimmed in the Oval Office.
Yes, so the two things in order there. President Trump saying that the United States should be at the G20 doesn't necessarily mean that he is going to go, just that they should have a presence. And there's been some talk.
Where's this fucking chatter who's like, you should cover Asmongold in the same way that you should cover Theo Vaughn with the same disdain that you have for Asmongold. No. And it's simple. Theo Vaughn, regardless of his allegiance or sympathy for the Trump administration, and there's plenty of that. Okay, he's quite literally, he went to Qatar with the Trump administration to do a comedy show to the troops there. Theo Vaughn still has an open mind, especially when it comes to what is going on in fucking Gaza. Okay, I'm not gonna cast aside a valuable ally like that, knowing full well that he is presenting a position to an audience that must hear it more than anybody else. Okay, that's it. That's my strategic focus here. And anyone who doesn't understand that is being ridiculous. That's some 2004 Bush admin shit. I don't know why you're keeping a comedian so close other than careerism. What? Bad take in my opinion, terrible opinion. He's literally gesturing for Adolf Hitler. If you guys can't understand, I think it's because Zach Foster post. No, it's Zach Fox who is right. Who's right in his fucking analysis where he's like, what are we doing, bro? How about you ask the fucking friends that you hang out with? He's not wrong about that. Okay? He's not. But the reason why I hype it up is because there are plenty of people who fucking love Donald Trump, who love Theo Vaughn. And those are the people who need to, more than anyone else, see what Theo Vaughn is saying. That's it. No, you're deluded by the proximity. No, I am not deluded by the proximity. I understand how these things fucking work. This is my take. Happy to see you speaking out, but it's truly bizarre watching someone who's helped Trump get elected and continues to dine with Trump's family express confusion over something Trump has vocally supported the entire time. Yeah, no, I understand it. I do. I get it. But I don't care, because at the end of the day, friend or not to the Trump administration, he's still a fucking comedian. If he is able to demonstrate moral clarity on this issue, then that's a good thing, especially when he has a shit ton of influence and a shit ton of prominence. I would probably have less smoke for Asmongold if he did this as well. I would have less smoke for Ethan Klein if he did this as well. I'm sorry, when I'm fucking in the midst of having to deal with slop tubers who in the most pathetic, cowardly ways possible defend Israel's actions, yell at the one fucking dude who's not doing that. If you are getting outflanked by Theo Vaughn, who is friends with the Trump administration on the issue of Israel, and you're a Democratic Party politician, you should really take a cold, hard look at yourself. Okay? Everything else is just bullshit. That's it. That's all I care about. Yeah, I should yell at the one of the most prominent manosphere adjacent guys who is called right wing all the fucking time, doing the right thing. I should punish him for it. Some of you don't understand how these things work. Okay? You just don't understand it. And that's fine. It's all good. There is no way of Like, we'll hear 10 years down the line, we'll turn around and say, oh, wow, why do we like cast aside so many fucking voices or some shit? It's exactly the same comeuppance that's taking place right now with a million different think pieces coming out of all of the overwhelmingly rad-libbed up articles that were written addressing the articles from 2016, being like, why are we being so ruthless to young men? What's the deal with young men? Why are you writing this article now? And this isn't entirely in the fucking hands of all of the people who are being progressive, but like, yeah, there is a air of arrogance that leftists fucking present all the goddamn time. There's an air of arrogance and an air of like, we are on the right side of history, so we shouldn't make a fucking argument. We should not actually have to convince anyone whenever progressive people try to speak out on issues. I'm not one of those people. I've never been one of those people. I am, of course, still going to do my very best to try to bring more people on board. And you might think that is because I'm clout hungry or whatever the fuck. And that's fine. That's okay. Sure, I'm clout hungry. You got me. I love clout, okay? The clout of what? The clout of more people recognizing Israel's insane actions. It's not about clout, it's about class. Yes, you're in the same club though. We get it. He's in your same class. Yes. The classic Marxist class of what? Podcasters? The podcasting class. You got the lumpen pros, you got the bourgeois, the petite bourgeois, and then you have the podcaster class. Jesus Christ, dude. Yeah, that's why I defend all podcasters unconditionally. Famously, as you guys know, that's what I do. That's why I'm such good friends with fucking Asmongold, you know? Bro, if you're a single issue voter, you're missing a shit ton of local extremism within torture, displacement, and ruination of a class of people within your own boundaries. I am not a single issue voter. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Go watch the Theo Von conversation that I have to understand why this kind of relationship is productive overall. Because the very same people that have to hear those arguments, I'm not going to fucking shut off someone who gives that opportunity. Okay? That's it. You're not wrong for your criticism, but if you're like, why don't you fucking ass blast them? Well, then you're stupid. I'm telling you exactly why I don't.
We do
Let's get back to white genocide in South Africa.
not have a genocide in South Africa.
This South African farmer wants to set the record straight. He wrote an open letter to US President Donald Trump after Trump offered Afrikaans.
If he was a rabid anti-Semite like Sneeko, I'd be all for casting him aside, but he's not, so any progress is good. Drama coverage is ruining this community's brains, how they engage with actual news. Stop looking for a target and start trying to understand the shit y'all clearly don't understand. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not pure. Okay? I'm not fucking pure. I'm impure. This is so fucking funny because he would be like kicking it with Trump one week and then the next week he's sitting with Hassan Piker saying shit like this. No disrespect, but this is the median American voter actually said. Alex Press. Here, it's a good time to retweet this fucking great take. Yeah. A lot of people simply cannot comprehend that a lot of people simply can't comprehend that many people are just like, they don't give a shit. They don't care. They don't understand anything. They don't have the same fucking equipment that you do. Okay? You've done the reading. A lot of people haven't. Do I think it's ridiculous that he on the one hand was like, oh, this genocide is really fucked up. And then on the other hand, he's whining and dining with the genocidaires. Yeah, I do. But also, Theo Von is not fucking Bernie Sanders. You know what I mean? Except he has outflanked Bernie Sanders on his statements about what Israel is doing. So what the fuck do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? You have a well-equipped socialist guy who has spent his entire fucking career railing against like at least most of America's imperialist actions. All of a sudden, you got a fucking podcaster who literally played a role in Donald Trump getting elected, outflanking him on this issue. What do you want me to do? Yell at the guy? No, I'm not. I care about this, okay? I'm not going to fucking yell at the guy. Especially because he's saying the truth. If he was running around being like, I don't really understand, I don't think this is a genocide at all, then yeah, I would yell at the guy. Be like, you're wrong. But I'm not going to do that. That's it. Take it where you can get it.
Ghana farmers' refugee status.
But it's a genocide that's taking place that you people don't want to...
In a way, is this similar to people getting mad at Rogan endorsing Bernie? Kind of. Yeah. But don't worry, there will be think pieces about what happened to Joe Rogan of the left 10 years down the line. Some people are really stupid, dude. You got to understand. You got to fucking, one, do positive reinforcement. Two, some people are just like, they don't understand it. They just don't get it. Okay? But as long as someone maintains charitability, you should be able to talk to them instead of fucking immediately going, nope, it's over. It's done. A lot of you have this attitude right now while simultaneously maintaining the attitude that the left is doing too much purity spiral shit. You know what I mean? So which is it? Are we doing too much fucking purity spiral shit? Or are we doing not enough purity spiral shit in a country that is inherently hostile to your worldview?
Right about, but it's a terrible thing that's taking place, and farmers are being killed. They happen to be white.
The first group of 59 Afrikaners traveled to the U.S. in early May. It is.
But bro, what are you saying? Like they're saying, yep, there's a genocide across the planet that we're funding and that's bad, with the same breath talking about Abrego is MS-13 or some shit. Is he doing that? He's not even fucking doing that. Also, dude, the other side of this story that is like, notice how engaged chat is right now? Because everyone loves to be a little fucking drama pervert. Like everyone thinks that they're above this, but actually this is juicy. This is the shit. This is what fucking activates people. It's the crack cocaine. Like, oh, fuck this South African white genocide bullshit. Who gives a fuck? Fuck talking about Israel, Palestine. The real fucking crack hits when you start talking about this, okay? Unfollowed right now, lol. Okay, suck my dick. You know? The real crack cocaine hits when we get here, when you're like, I'm going to try to get this out of you. We can't come across as like inherently hostile to people for the crime of moving in the right direction. You have to be more open-minded. That's it. That's it. And you're not wrong for being like, what the fuck are you doing? You're on the one hand saying there's a genocide. On the other hand, you're like, you know, cozying up to the people that are doing the genocide. But the way to do that is not by being like, fuck this guy. Okay? That's it. Especially because he could just as easily turn around and be like, nah, this is not a genocide. And he'd probably benefit greatly from it. Like all the people you just banned, right? Wait, what? What? The people I just banned? What are you talking about? Chatters getting banned in here is not the equivalent of being fucking... I'm a Twitch streamer, okay? I do housekeeping whichever way I want to. This is not the same as like being... This is not the same as like being hostile to people who are on their own fucking journey. You unintentionally promote this behavior when you single out posts that, you know, you like this one. Yeah, I know. I do. But I think part of the reason why I do this is because I want to show like what is not acceptable and what is acceptable in the chat. You don't get killed when you get banned from this chat. You can even still keep watching. You just can't talk. It's very odd that people treat that as like
it's really for
death. Anyway, this was insane. This was an insane story. We're going to talk about Kneecap as well. Piers Morgan jumped ship on Israel. Ugh.
Welcome back to
I have resisted going as far as you have done in your criticism of the Israeli government. I resist no more. We're in agreement. Piers Morgan to me on genocide on a show today. I cited retired Israeli General Yair Golan saying Israel is now killing babies as a hobby. This is also part of the reason why I don't even fucking shit on, like, a lot of people will yell at Mehdi for his commentary, but everybody plays a different role in this. Because if Theo Von is getting Trump hogs to recognize Israel doing a genocide, great. If Mehdi is getting the liberal Zionist coalition or the liberals that normally are turning a blind eye to Israel doing a genocide to get on board with this, then great. Okay, everybody serves a different purpose in this. It's not just about like the questionable stuff that people do. That's why I don't spend a lot of time on like Owen Jones or Mehdi. Like I don't care, you know. Not everyone is going to be perfect vessels here. They're not going to be perfect allies, and I personally don't care. I just, as long as they are like, even if they're standing. Even if they're not standing in the way, that's good enough for me. Does that make sense? Therein lies what I expect from Bernie versus why I don't constantly rail against Bernie. Do you see what I mean? Because Bernie Sanders is a liberal Zionist. Bernie Sanders is like a labor Zionist. It's pure fantasy the way he approaches the subject matter of Israel, where he's like, oh, Israel has a right to defend itself. After 19 months, that's disgusting. What an insane thing to say. Having said that, he at least has the decency to step aside when there are people who have a more radical position on this issue, and he does not fucking stand in their way and tell them to shut the fuck up or say that they're goddamn Hamas agents or whatever the fuck on a daily basis. Do you see what I mean? What's Mehdi off about? Mehdi Hassan is awesome. Zateo has done incredible work, but there are definitely still people who yell at him because he was too much on the condemn Hamas train post October 7. That's it. It's mostly just like old grievances that people have with people like Mehdi, or even like an inability to comprehend like what their role is here, what their responsibility is here. Does that make sense? I probably never once said I condemn Hamas. That shit was fucking stupid. Yeah, you're also not a professional media person who is making this complicated math equation of like, do I still get to have a prominent platform where I can say the truth about Israel? Because that's the way to unlock that, okay? Otherwise, the entire conversation turns into not condemning hummus hard enough. That's it. That's the difference. A lot of people also on Twitter will be like, wow, why are people taking these like fucking liberal ass attitudes? It's like, there's a reason. You have to fucking pay the piper. And there's obviously a complex math equation there. And there are understandable red lines that people set. Myself, you know what my red line is. But it is what it is. Speaking of which, by the way, here is something that took place with Zoran as well. A lot of people were yelling at him too over his Israel has a right to exist line, which I totally understand why he said that. Here was my take on it, but here. New York City mayoral candidate Zoran Mamdani this morning, following the story that he declined to sign on to the Assembly resolutions recognizing Israel's independence and condemning the Holocaust. I do support Israel's right to exist as a state, he says.
Israel's right to exist as a state.
Yes, I do support its right to exist as a state.
Do you support?
And like, the thing is, this is a gotcha, okay? And I think maybe I'm wrong about this, but this is a gotcha, okay? Everyone needs to understand, like, oh, do you think Israel has a right to exist? It's a total fucking, it's a total gotcha, all right? It's incredibly stupid to ask this question. No state has a right to exist. There is no like fundamental enshrined right for states to exist. That's not a real fucking concept at all. People have a right to exist within a state boundary, within a boundary that you could consider a fucking state. And the reason why I answer this question is like this, okay? The reason why I say this is because here's my answer. No state has a right to exist. People have a right to exist. Israel already exists as a state. Palestine, for example, does not currently exist as a state. But having said that, Nazi Germany had no right to exist. Neither did Rhodesia. Israel, as an apartheid state doing a genocide, has no right to exist in its current formation. That's it. Okay? That's it. And I will tell anyone that fucking turns around and says like, oh, you mean, so you want Israel to not exist? I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah. If Israel is going to only maintain itself as an apartheid state, as it seems like it will, then yeah, it has no right to exist. It is literally illegal for Israel to exist in the current ways that it does. I don't think that's a controversial thing to say. Now, obviously, there's a difference between me saying that as a white Muslim dude in fucking America as a political commentator on Twitch, not even on mainstream outlets, even if I do have a mainstream audience here, versus a brown Muslim dude running for office as mayor of New York. I said, I like Zoran a lot. I don't think that anyone has to play these games anymore, but maybe the boomer electorate of New York City is not equipped to hear that from a Muslim mayoral candidate. That's it. Like, I'm still willing to entertain or give grace to Zoran on this issue, especially because Zoran is not a Zionist. Like, he is not fucking pro-Israel in any meaningful capacity. It's fucking ridiculous to make it seem as though he's now like controlled opposition or totally held captive or something like that. I think it's sort of another from the river to the sea thing. For example, Norm saying it's not ideal because it leaves room for malicious interpretation. Saying Israel doesn't have a right to exist is also not ideal because it leaves room for malicious interpretation. Not to say we shouldn't kowtow to bad faith actors, but it's still an all-force error. Yeah, which is why I'm offering clarity to what I mean when I say Israel does not have a right to exist as an apartheid state doing a genocide. If Israel was not doing a genocide, and if it was not an apartheid occupation, then the equation would be very different. First of all, there would be no fucking Hamas, for example. Like, there would be no militancy against it. It would be an entirely different enterprise. You might as well call it a different state at that point. You might as well call it Palestine at that point. It doesn't fucking matter. It's not Israel at that point. It's something totally different. And that's what it is.
Do you believe
here? Yes, this is Francesca Albanese's take on it, which I'm robbing from, by the way, obviously, when I say what I say. And she is 100% correct.
that Israel has a right to exist?
Israel does exist. Israel is a recognized member of the United Nations. Besides this, there is not such a thing in international law like a right of a state to exist. Does Italy has a right to exist? Italy exists. Now, if tomorrow Italy and France want to merge and become Ita-France, fine. This is not up to us. What is enshrined in international law is the right of a people to exist. So the state is there, the state of Israel is there, is protected as a member of the United Nations. Does this justify the erasure of another people?
Like, I mean, I obviously take a more aggressive approach than she does. She uses the perfect language on this, obviously, as she is the special rapporteur of the occupied Palestinian territories in the UN.
Hell no. Not 75 years ago, not 57 years ago, surely not today. Where is the protection of the Palestinian people from erasure, from annexation, from illegal occupation and apartheid?
I think 19 months in, though, I'm gonna be honest, 19 months in, we should be a little bit better with these like very quick responses, you know? I think that if you are a prominent public anti-Zionist voice, like there's some quippy, because this is a fucking cynical question, right? This is not a real question. Oh, does Israel have a right to exist? Like, what the fuck do you mean? What do you mean, does Israel have a right to exist, right? You said it on Twitter. I said it on stream. It doesn't fucking matter. Ideologies have local interpretations. Bolshevism in the USSR, Maoism in China of the socialist ideology. Same way Italian fascism in Italy, Nazism in Germany, and so on. Zionism is fascism adapted to the Israeli condition. Nothing controversial about this, as you've said. Exactly. So this is a very cynical way to ask this question. It is an all lives matter style question, okay? It is an all lives matter to a Black Lives Matter equation here, okay? Just like claiming that from the river to the sea, Palestine would be free is like the idea that like we have to criminalize this statement, which is an emancipatory slogan, because of what people who defend Israel interpret it as is ridiculous. Okay, it's the same exact problem with the does Israel have a right to exist question. It is designed in this very cynical way for people to be tripped up and be afraid of answering it in a thoughtful manner. But since it's 19 months into a genocide that has been broadcasted, a live streamed child Holocaust, I think it's appropriate for people to answer this correctly. Zoran represents the DSA. He's saying this is a DSA endorsed candidate. Does Israel have a right to exist? Is a central question of Zionism. If you do not deny this question, then you cannot claim anti-Zionism. No, I don't chatter, slatty matty. I agree. That's why I'm saying there's an appropriate way to answer it, and I think someone at this stage should be able to answer it appropriately. That's what I mean, because it is a disingenuous question. Okay. It's a disingenuous question. It's like saying, do you condemn October 7, 19 months in? They'd be like, October 7, October 7, October 7, October 7. The answer to that since October 7 was, how did October 7 happen is the real question that we must ask ourselves. And if you think it happened because of the barbarity of Muslims, if you think that they're just like especially and exceptionally anti-Semitic, and that's why they did October 7, then you're wrong. That is not the reason. The reason is the 74 years of apartheid occupation and ethnic cleansing that took place that led to the rise of militant resistance against such matters. This is precisely how October 7 happened. This is precisely why October 7 happened. That's it. Acacia Magazine launch party yesterday. Zohran Mamdani confronted with his recent statement that Israel has a right to exist. Don't be hypocritical and say free Palestine, and you're defending the right for Israel to exist.
What do you say? I have a question. What do you say about politicians that constantly reaffirm Israel's right to exist. Because people like me are constantly attacked by politicians for standing up for Palestine, and you are constantly defending the right for Israel to exist. My family is in Palestine right now, constantly under attack, and I'm hearing you say free Palestine, but also Israel has the right to exist.
What did he answer this with? This is a valid moment of anger, by the way. I look, you know, is it a genocide or is it not a genocide? You know what I mean? If you believe it's a fucking genocide, then you have to hear what this person is saying and treat it with the dignity that they deserve.
Don't be hypocritical. Don't be hypocritical and say free Palestine when you're also defending the right for Israel to exist. It does not have the right to exist. It does not have the right to exist. It's not your land to say it has the right to exist.
I wanted to see what he would say after those words. He's in such a rough spot though. New York is Zionism Central. Nah, I mean, he's Muslim. He's an anti-Zionist Muslim. What do you mean? He already every moment that he steps foot into any establishment, by his mere presence, people are already assuming that he is pro-Hamas and pro a million October 7s. Like, does that mean he has to like massage his narrative? No, I think he should be honest about his perspective. I think the reason why. So what's the right answer? The right answer is what I said. Like this is a disingenuous question. This is a totally disingenuous question, and the answer to it is no state has a right to exist. People have a right to exist, but no state has a right to do genocide and apartheid. So therefore, no, Israel does not have a right to exist in the ways that it currently does. It's that simple. Like, Zoran knows it's a genocide. He understands it's a genocide. He has spoken out against the genocide multiple times. It's not like, it's not like, what do you call it? This is, to me, is shooting yourself in the foot. You're ruining the chances of people getting in power that can actually help. This clip makes him look bad and hurts his chances. You either want people that agree with you in power or not. No, I don't think it's appropriate to be like, yeah, that Palestinian person whose fucking family members are being ethnically cleansed should be chill about the ethnic cleansing that's taking place. So South Africa didn't have a right to exist before 1994. What do you think my assumption is there? Yes. Yes, apartheid South Africa had no right to exist. Exactly. Yes. Did the Confederacy have a right to exist? Did the Confederate States of the United States have a right to secession and a right to exist while still upholding the unjustifiable practice of chattel slavery? You thought this was a good gotcha? Why the fuck would I ever say... What do you mean? America right now doesn't even have a fucking right to exist. Like, what are we talking about? What are we fucking talking about? Yeah. Rights are reserved to people and corporations. Yeah, so Nazi Germany didn't have a right to exist? Interesting. I think given the insane amounts of attacks he's receiving at this point, it's up to him to deal with it whichever way he thinks is the best way to deal with it. You know, you're conflating criminality and a right to exist. Does a murderer have a right to exist? I would say yes. Wait, what? Dude, no. The state, if a state's exist, first of all, people are not states. That's why I say people have a right to exist. States do not. But if a state's existence relies on the ethnic cleansing of the indigenous population, then yeah, it's like saying, does a murderer have a right to exist? No, the real question would be, does a murderer have a right to continue doing murders? And the answer is no. If a state is a criminal enterprise, then that state must cease its criminality. And genocide is the worst crime that you can commit. The fuck? This is very, very, very dumb. You're conflating criminality and the right to exist. Does a murderer have a right to exist? I would say yes, is stupid. What you are actually asking while you're saying, does a murderer have a right to exist, is, does a murderer have a right to continue doing murders? And I think you and I both know the answer is no. Because Israel, as a nation state from its inception all the way to the 77th year formation, has been a nation state that is doing a genocide, ethnic cleansing of the indigenous population, land grabs, exterminationist policies built around the notion of ethno-religious supremacy. And no, that is completely a murderous and illegal enterprise. So no, like, do you think, okay, in the aftermath of the Holocaust, if Israel was not a settler colonial apparatus for Western Empire, if people were like migrating to this area and everyone was like, all right, let's do a binational fucking form of governance for all of these people that have been ruthlessly slaughtered and their descendants and the people that survived this process, like, let's build a fully formed state together in unison. Do you think there would be a fucking Hamas right now, or do you think there would be a PLO? No, it would literally be a fully functioning normal state. It's that fucking simple. There would be none of these conversations because there would be no death and destruction. But of course, America would not have a foothold in the region if that didn't happen. So, you know, can't have that. This question is a gotcha because they don't like it when the answer is anything other than a yes or no. What happened is that last month he got forced into a yes or no response by the Free Press. His views are obviously a lot more complex on this topic than just yes. When asked if he believes Israel has a right to exist, Mamdani replied via email, "My view of Israel-Palestine has been driven by a commitment to universal application of human rights, international law, and the freedom of all without exception." I followed up with Mamdani, asking him to answer the question. I mean, yeah, the Free Press is literally a fucking a Zionist dish rag. Who gives a fuck what they have to say? Zoran has consistently recognized the state of Israel as well as its responsibilities under international law and the laws of war. They just don't want to, he doesn't want to say no, because they'll just clip it after he says no to be like, he wants to genocide all Jews. Look at him. Look at this scary Muslim man. He wants to genocide all Jews, which is why the answer there should be what he was trying to establish over and over again. Follow the fucking law. People exist. States already exist. The existing states should follow the fucking law. And if they don't follow the law, then no, they don't get to exist. It's that simple.
Listen, you and I have talked about this war in Gaza for ever since it started, this phase of the 75-year conflict.
Imagine saying you were going to vote for the guy over a 3-second clip. I mean, there is not a single person that is as close to power as Zoran Mamdani is that has his level of precision when talking about Israel's criminality, okay? So this is the reason why I say, like, yeah, it's a fucking bad answer, but that doesn't change my support for him at all.
And I have resisted going as far as you have done in your criticism of the Israeli government.
I gotta pee.
I resist no more. I think
God.
we've reached common ground about what we view is happening and has been happening through this period of this blockade, which frankly is just starvation of the people there, including so many innocent young women and children. And I think that the incessant bombing and killing, and we don't know how many civilians have been killed, but it is on a daily basis. It looks like hundreds of people every day, with no apparent attempt, it seems to me, to have any real plan for how this ends or what happens when it ends, other than if you look at what Smodrich has been saying, probably the most right-wing member of a very right-wing government, he is talking in a genocidal language about kicking all the Palestinians out. So I think you and I have reached a place in the last few weeks where we are in agreement. But my question for you, Mehdi, is how does this end?
I don't know the answer to that question, Piers, and I'm glad we're in agreement. I wish we weren't. Actually, I wish I had been wrong and you were right. I wish that a year ago when I said on your show, you said, well, if it's not about the hostages, what's it about? And I said, it's about depopulating Gaza. It's about conquering Gaza. I wish I'd been wrong. But as you said, Bezalel Smotrich, the finance minister in the Israeli government, said this week, we are there to conquer, cleanse, and remain. Those are his words. We are disassembling Gaza, he said. We are leaving it as piles of rubble. He says, we're doing something that no one's done in the world before. He bragged out loud, and he said, yes, the Gazans will have to leave. So all of those things are stuff some of us were saying last year. I wish we hadn't been vindicated in this horrific way. The killing is ongoing. The starvation is ongoing. And look, I do hope that a dam is bursting. You mentioned the genocide word. Shmuel Lederman, who is an Israeli researcher of genocide, spent much of 2024 saying it's not a genocide, it's not a genocide. He was interviewed by a Dutch newspaper last week. He said, I've changed my position. It is a genocide. He said, in my field, there's a consensus among genocide scholars that it's a genocide. In fact, that Dutch newspaper interviewed 7 leading scholars of genocide. Every single one said, we think what's happening in Gaza is a genocide. In fact, this week, Piers, you have an Israeli former general, Yair Golan, saying a sane country does not attack civilians.
Yeah, Yair Golan had to fucking apologize, though, to be fair.
Does not kill babies as a hobby, and does not expel civilian populations. That is Yair Golan, the former deputy chief of the Israeli military, prominent Israeli politician. He was a hero on October the 7th, fought Hamas himself on October the 7th. This is what he said this week.
Chuck Schumer's a fucking fanatic, and it is a goddamn joke that he's even a member of a leftist center party in a democracy. It is a sign we live in hell that he leads it, and that no one beneath him can point out how unfit he is with his hysterical attitude towards the UN. This is his. This is from the interview. This was such a psychotic thing that he said that we just kind of brushed aside. I know exactly what this quote is because I've read it on stream when we read the interview that he conducted here. This is when he's trying to fucking shill his book that was around the the left's anti-Semitism. You know, he's like there's a perfect opportunity. There is a perfect opportunity to fucking pop off on the anti-Semitism, the true anti-Semitism of the country, which is, of course, the left's anti-Semitism. That's what Chuck Schumer's book is all about, right? Thank God. Thank God he wrote this book. Definitely a book for the times. Norm said his book was ass. Yeah, I mean, that's putting it lightly. Anyway, let's see what he had to say here.
So, yes, it's very emotional, and to almost all Jewish people, we all have relatives, and we know about this has happened. Again, genocide is a vicious, vicious word to use.
I will say it's a word that a UN special committee has used.
Please, the UN has been anti-Israel, anti-Semitically against Israel, double.
Like, this is abhorrent. This is repugnant, dude. You are such a fucking freak. The UN is anti-Semitically against Israel? Shut the fuck up, you fucking bitch. God damn. Of course, the expectation from someone like Chuck Schumer is obviously not going to be all that much, considering that he is a AIPAC lapdog himself, okay? Go ahead, call me anti-Semitic for saying this, but a guy who consistently speaks at AIPAC and fucking says, you know, the Bible gave the Jews Judea and Samaria 3,000 years ago, and Palestinians don't believe that because they're Muslim and Christian, and therefore there is no conversation to be had with them, is just as fucking genocidal as Itamar Ben-Gvir is, okay? This has nothing to do with him being Jewish and everything to do with him being a fucking freak. God, he sucks so bad. He is so awful.
Standard. Moynihan was my idol. He became famous when in 1976 they tried to pass a resolution, Zionism is racism. To say that the Jewish people should
Zionism is racism.
Not have a state.
You just hate Jewish men with swag. Exactly. It's true. You got me. I specifically hate Jewish men with swag that love to fucking ride their glasses all the way off their goddamn face for no fucking reason. What is that there for, man? I don't understand it. Push your fucking glasses back. Every fucking photo, it's like right off to, it's just falling off his face. Every photo, dude. Push it back. It pisses me off. It's the one thing. The kids hate you.
Shipman.
Yeah, Columbia University acting president Claire Shipman. Welcome to Columbia University's graduation ceremony with sustained cheers and jeers and boos. Minutes later, students break out in loud chants at Free Mahmoud.
Thank you.
Listen, she's getting paid a pretty penny. She's getting paid top dollar to be there and eat those fucking boos. It doesn't mean anything.
When
to her.
every other people should have a state is anti-Semitism, the old double standard, ipso. Other people should have a state is anti-Semitism, the old double standard, ipso facto. And the international organizations, I have no faith in them being fair. These same international organizations, when horrible...
You're a freak. You're a freak. You're a freak. This kind of statement is not gonna be looked back at fondly, okay? There will be a reckoning, okay? There will be a fucking reckoning where a lot of institutions that played defense for Israel are going to be horrified. They're going to be horrified. They're going to fucking turn around and be like, oh, this wasn't us ever, okay? This was not us at all. If justice is served, Hopefully, if justice is served, because the other alternative is that it's not justice, but more injustice. And then on top of that, there will be a revenge fantasy played out by fascists against all Jews. And they will use Israel as the just cause for it, when in fact, they have no interest in the emancipation of Palestinians. They just want to fucking kill Jews. I worry that Americans and their predisposition towards bigotry will make option B more likely than option A. But by that point, I'll be long fucking gone, you know?
Things go in Darfur or China or wherever, they look the other way. So
anyway, here is Danny Danon, Mr. These children are Hamas, getting shellacked on BBC. A fucking... Wait, is this BBC? Is Newsnight BBC? Yeah, okay, it is BBC. Interesting change of attitude here.
You've killed tens of thousands of civilians. You've killed paramedics. You've killed journalists. You've even killed your own hostages.
No! You are Hamas! You are Hamas! No! No! No politic here! No politic here! Israel, number one. Israel high. No politic here. You are Hamas!
But not apparently all the Hamas fighters. Perhaps that's why the British Foreign Secretary said today your government is, quote, damaging the image of the state of Israel in the eyes of the world.
So I would remind those dignitaries to look at the effort of the UK when you fought Nazi Germany. You know, you can speak about civilian casualties and you can speak...
See, look, if I'm a fucking Israeli envoy, well, first of all, if I was, I'd do the right thing and follow the leader, okay? But let's say in a hypothetical situation, I'm an Israeli envoy. You know what I'm not bringing up? Dresden. Because of the closeness of Israel to Nazi Germany in this equation, okay? Because you just keep reminding people of like what the Allied forces did in Dresden, and considering how close Israel is both ideologically and also in practice to the fucking mechanized death that took place in the Holocaust in the hands of Nazi Germany, you probably shouldn't remind people what people did to stop Nazi Germany. That's all I'm saying, okay? Because it's weird that you keep reminding people what it took for the Nazis to stop, and we are in unprecedented times where a lot more people are aware of who the Nazi Germany equivalent is in this situation. That's all I'm saying. Nothing else. It's the same thing that I brought up after Israel was trying to do the Hamas is ISIS. ISIS is Hamas. And it's like you're just reminding people what took place in Dresden, like what it took to stop Nazi Germany, at a time when more and more people are recognizing that like Israel is quite similar to Nazi Germany, you know? Like weird thing, weird route to take. I perhaps would not take that. I would probably talk about like, you know, restitution and being kind to war criminals or something. Like at this point, I think that's the route that Israeli envoys should be taking.
Think about tens of thousands of people who died in your efforts to fight evil. Today we are fighting the same evil force. It's not easy, it's hard, we are in pain, but we are determined to finish the job. We will not idly buy for the next attack against Israel because we know nobody will be there to protect us. Today we have a country.
Dude, also saying this is so, like saying this on British broadcasters, like saying this on the British Broadcasting Network is so gross. Because, like, what do you mean no one will protect us? The fucking the UK government, or the British government, has literally given surveillance to the Israeli state illegally in secrecy, okay, since the beginning of Israel's genocide. The British government is directly aiding and abetting the genocide of the Palestinians. So is the American government. Without Western coalition forces defending Israel every step of the way, Israel would not be able to do this fucking genocide. Like the arrogance, the entitlement, Israel is all alone. Israel is doing the job that no one wants to do. We are all alone. It's like, come on, man. Come the fuck on, dude. Come the fuck on. You're out of your goddamn mind. 60% of reconnaissance missions over Gaza are done by UK. I don't know if that number is correct. 60% seems way too high. I'm sure there's more U.S. involvement in the reconnaissance. Why is British media turning against Israel suddenly? Because they got the permission. They got the boss call. All it took was for David Lammy's bitch ass to turn around and be like, what's happening in Israel, what's happening in Gaza is unconscionable. That's it. That's it. That's all it took was these fucking charlatans in Western media. All it took. Please stop that Jewish voice. What the fuck do you mean, the Jewish voice? This is not a Jewish voice. This is a very specific Middle Eastern accent that I'm doing, okay? An accent that takes many forms, oftentimes doesn't sound anything like other accents from the region, okay? Here, I'll give you another version of this. Israel has a right to defend itself after 19 months of genocide. Another organic, natural, beautiful Middle Eastern accent, okay? Ami Fatlo. That's one version of this, okay? The other one is the one that you're hearing on screen. Another one is, it sounds quite similar to the Philadelphia accent, you know, like Israel has a right to defend itself. Another accent that you hear in the region, okay? Very similar to Philadelphia for some reason. I don't know what it is. Keep Eve's hate name out of your damn mouth. I can't stop myself. The other one was Scottish. That's interesting that you're saying that that's Scottish. It's a Middle Eastern regional dialect. Excuse me. It's just like what this guy is he has a Middle Eastern regional dialect. Israel number one. Israel number one. Hamas. We must kill the Hamas babies of terror.
The days when Jews were massacred and there was no response are over. The days that we asked for support from other countries are over. Today, we have the capability to defend ourselves, and that's exactly what we are doing. We didn't start this war, but we intend to finish it without Hamas.
Here's another organic, natural accent from the region. Khalil, no! That's another one. It takes many different forms. A lot of you think like, oh, instead of saying instead of making the P sound, you make a B sound. Like that's like a regional accent. No, you're wrong. It takes so many different forms, okay? Khalil, no! Of champagne to fill the Nile. Oh, why don't you insult their ideas instead of things they can't change, like their ridiculously stupid fucking accents? Shut the fuck up. Oh, okay. All right, here.
Khalil, no.
Khalil, no.
Khalil, no.
Oh, Jesus Christ. What is this? I don't think it's a coincidence that some Western governments in the EU are suddenly somewhat shedding light on Gaza and escalating the discourse. I think Israel is about to do something very horrifying somewhere in the region, and they're just paving the way for that. They will let it do what it wants for the next few weeks, and once it does, and it's perhaps time to stop or at least calm things down, they will frame this as if it's the reason why it stopped. I don't know what would be more horror if possible in Palestine and Lebanon, perhaps an attack on Iran. I don't know, but none of this is innocent. I mean, this is pure speculation from some random Twitter guy, but it is it's what I think is most likely the case as well. It's not an accident that CNN, like American generals leaked to CNN that Israel was looking to bomb Iran nuclear sites. The reason why Israel is doing that is because Israel has always tried to bring America into the fray, into this conflict in a more meaningful fashion. That's it. It's that fucking simple. And clearly the reason why they leaked this to CNN is because America's like, all right, dial it back, brother. Like, calm down. I feel like there's still a little bit of restraint here from America as opposed to how aggressive. Dylan Safa says, airstrikes on Tel Aviv is a liberal position at this point. In the hours since I tweeted this, Israel has fired on 30 diplomats in the West Bank and made sufficient military movements. I disavow this position for the record. I don't agree with this, okay? I'm not saying this. But, you know, he says, in the hours since I made this tweet, Israel's fired on 30 diplomats in the West Bank, made sufficient military movements towards a unilateral strike on Iranian nuclear facilities, and the U.S. had to leak it to the press. People seem content to just ignore Israel or lament how sad it is as long as it's only Palestinians in the extermination camp. But this state is on a collective death drive that knows no borders and will drag the world into war if not stopped by force. As my friends are wont to say, we have a Hitler problem. We do. We do. The other side of this is that Israel obviously, the other side of this is that, like, isn't the entire point, or at least an ancillary point of Israel to maintain instability in the region? Yes and no. It is in the interim, but like the grand design for the region is that Israel dominates, and Israel has even more control than it did before, with no enemies whatsoever that can cause destabilization down the line. But the other side of the story is why Israel is unable to stop this genocide. And I've explained this before, but it bears repeating. If Israel stops this genocide, okay, and let's say they get to occupy northern Gaza, this is a terrifying prospect, right? But it's somehow not the worst possible outcome of this scenario. So let's say that happens, okay? Then what? You let Western journalists into southern Gaza? What do you think happens? If you think people have already radicalized against Israel because they've seen brown children speak on their own demise in real time as they're being fucking lasered out of the sky, what do you think is going to happen when white people are there showing the fucking atrocities? White people that, you know, other white people here in the Western world like and enjoy and listen to. I feel like Israel did not let in Western reporters into the fucking strip in the short ceasefire that took place that they violated instantly for this reason. Because if there was any fucking Western reporters that were allowed into the strip, it would have been over. Even when people get a peep of, when Rachel Curry, Thomas Herndal, great question, or rather great point that you're making here. The dynamic is entirely different than the Rachel Corrie situation now. That's it. That's all this is. Because when Rachel Corrie was killed by an IDF bulldozer, most people were still very much locked into mainstream news. There was so much more trust for mainstream institutions, and mainstream institutions were of one mind. Okay? The level of resentment that people feel right now, against Israel is far worse than it was even when Shireen Abu Akleh was assassinated. It's a totally different set of circumstances. This isn't to say like Israel doesn't get to kill white Americans without incurring any punishments. I'm saying the flow of information coming out of the Gaza Strip right now and the mainstream coverage over it would literally change the tide permanently. Today, Netanyahu said these are the conditions to end the genocide, among them the Trump plan for Gaza. Yes. What is being set up by the West is an equation that Iran cannot escape from. Either it reaches an agreement to somehow stop enriching uranium, or it reaches a deal where it can enrich uranium, then Israel bombs its nuclear facilities anyway. Netanyahu says, amid another scheduled round of U.S.-Iran talks, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu says, if they can reach an agreement that will prevent Iran from the capability to enrich uranium, we will welcome it. However, the state of Israel keeps the right to itself to protect itself. Here in Netanyahu also some of the other things that he said. Jeremy Scahill also has a thread on it. By the way, this is an interesting person. Shael ben Ephraim was literally a Zionist. He was initially, Shael ben Ephraim, if I remember correctly, is one of those dudes that a couple months ago was like, I'm done. I was one of the loudest voices defending Israel. I can't any longer. It is literally a fucking, a genocide. I am an anti-Zionist now. I was so wrong, and I apologize profusely. And he's one of those guys that just like flipped entirely. Now, that doesn't mean that he's like all the way there, for the record, but I'll take it. Netanyahu's new conditions for ending the war include complete occupation of Gaza and the Trump ethnic cleansing plan. The pretense is gone. This isn't about October 7 or the hostages. It's about complete destruction of the Palestinian people. All hostages returned. Hamas laid down its weapons. Leadership of Hamas exiled. Gaza is completely demilitarized. Implementation of the Trump plan, which is a final solution. It says the end of Gideon's chariot. All areas of Gaza Strip will be under Israeli control. He says that the U.S. and other allies are giving full support and weapons for what Netanyahu described as killing these monsters. Netanyahu calls Trump's plan for depopulating Gaza of Palestinians revolutionary. Netanyahu repeats his stance that Israel will not engage in a permanent ceasefire, only temporary agreements that will release Israeli captives, and will continue the war of annihilation with the ultimate aim of implementing what he keeps calling Trump's plan. I think him saying this is Trump's plan is bad for Trump. I don't think Trump will like it because he doesn't like losers. And Israel is not exactly a winner right now. And although it is quite literally Trump's plan, and he is not wrong to call it that, Trump might not necessarily like this association. Netanyahu said he has changed the Middle East with his wars. He says the war in Gaza has taken so long because no army has encountered such an urban setting. There has not been anything like that in Fallujah or anywhere else. Netanyahu says it is taking this long to defeat Hamas because we want to achieve our goals with minimum loss of IDF soldiers. He adds, it won't take another 18 months. Netanyahu says that Israel will only allow aid for Gaza that is distributed in individual meal boxes, not trucks with aid for local distribution. Eventually, he says Israel will create sterile zones to distribute some food. Meanwhile, this is what's happening in Israel. For those of you who are confused, Israeli citizens, not military, not the police, trying to block aid trucks from entering Gaza. Hard to imagine how people end up this twisted. It's not that hard to imagine. Here's Channel 4's reporting on this. Obviously,
Israeli protesters have gathered near the border to block.
Look, I'm not going to say nothing, but the uniform has changed quite a bit since World War II. You know what I mean? Like mentally ill fascists. They used to wear Hugo Boss, you know? I don't know what's going on here.
Trucks carrying humanitarian aid into Gaza. Israel recently launched a new offensive.
It's just like what that Haaretz writer was saying. It's like the yogi Nazis
Against Hamas, but it also partially lifted its 11-week blockade on food supplies. Some trucks have been allowed into Gaza this week, but the UN says the military still hasn't given them permission to distribute the aid. Without it, international experts have warned of a potential famine. Anti-aid protesters were eventually removed by police from the roads to let the trucks through.
Ethan would call these people benign dudes that are just holding on the aid. Wow, I can't believe the Israeli military is stopping these people from rendering aid to the Palestinians, you know? It's really fucked up. Anyway, in other news, here is more Israeli depravity, more Israeli insanity. The Israeli occupying force, Israeli occupying farts, fired near diplomatic delegation in Jenin, citing route breach. No injuries reported. Let's take a look.
Forces have opened fire towards a diplomatic delegation in Jenin in the occupied West Bank. The group included diplomats from...
Damn, this guy's good.